Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your face. And
Well,
today,
copyright.
we're just going to be talking about everything in terms of the IPL auction. My name's Abdi Shagri, clearly in a good mood. And of course, the mates who join me on this podcast apparently is Akshay Kumar Swami and Nikhil Popa. Good to see you, boys. So much to talk about, so much to get into. But before you guys say hi, hello, and introduce yourselves, let me just tell you what a fantastic couple of days it's been for cricket.com in terms of churning our content. And we're not going to stop because you can see us on MNL in the next couple of hours with a special guest at 9 p.m. And of course, you can see Som, Vikas, and Nix again later on for a Hindi digest if you're up for it till 1 a.m. So we got you sorted. Just get your dinner and get started. Nikhil Popat, are you happy or what? Chennai are doing some fantastic things in this year's auction.
Truly, but happy birthday. Happy birthday to everyone. Very, very special win. And of course, we'll get to Chennai. We have all night to talk about the IPL. So, but yeah, very, very happy. Could be more relieved. Few homecomings. And the Overton bit that Akshay heard was right. But it is Jamie and not Craig. So, let's see.
Oh, 100%. Quick appreciation message, Akshay, before I get to you. Udit Dinesh, thank you so much for your little love on this podcast. Hey, guys, appreciate your coverage for the last couple of days. He goes on to say, happy with the RCB buys. We'll get all into it. And like Nick said, he doesn't want to talk about any IPL up until 9 p.m. because that we have a special guest and we can't wait. So right now, we're not even watching the auction. We did a watch along. You can check that out. And partner in crime for that one was Akshay. Akshay, how are you? And are you happy in the last couple of hours? Really quickly.
Just from an RCB POV, I mean, they're definitely looking at it from a very different lens. But yeah, I am interested to see how this works out for them. All in all, it's been a fascinating auction, man. It's been just super interesting to see how everyone's been strategizing, and I love the auction. So couldn't be more happier.
Oh, 100%. And Sanjay Papagiri, appreciate all your comments. And as ever, please like this video. Get us started. Get us warmed up in what's going to be another scintillating podcast with another guest. Like I said, Dan Weston, the thumbnail will give it away. But all your questions, which might go unanswered in our conversations, we'll take it in the 12th man section. We're thinking of doing things slightly differently today in the MNL in terms of just rejigging it. The main chat will be, of course, 9 p.m. like I keep reiterating. But right now, we'll get into all the other talking points. And there's been very happy ones if you're an Indian fan. Nick's alluded to it because it was some win in terms of India's performance in Perth. Let's start there. Nick's, how happy are we as Indian fans? And it's lovely how cricket can shut people up.
It shuts all of us up, 1 month back, if anybody told us that you will lose 3-0 at home, but then you will go on to Perth, Optus. People wanted fast, bouncy decks so that they could scare the hell out of India. And then for you to then go there and dominate Australia. And exactly this, right? So many things, not just this. If you look at the numbers, like 150 runs ke baad, only few people have gone on to beat Australia like this and all of that. So could not have been more happier. It just tells you how Test cricket is just giving you examples that don't take anything for granted. Even to everybody's like, dude, now we will win 4-1. I think, dude, relax. This can go either which ways. Aaj jo mila hai, let's be really very, very happy because to do this with 2 debutants without Rohit and Gill, it's a massive, massive thing. So credit to the team for being able to play normal Test cricket, and hopefully this is the way forward.
Yeah, and that's what they say often, right, in sport. If your team wins, don't get too up and about, don't get too low when they lose. But after that 3-0 demolition that New Zealand gave us, this one really kind of at least wipes the frown off our faces, if I say. Akshay, again, I was going through all the highlights, watching them games live, alarms early because, of course, 7:50 start and all of that. And I genuinely enjoyed this test match, not just from an Indian POV, but the fact that Test match cricket, the way it's supposed to be played, fine, we didn't get day 5 as well, but the ebbs and flows, especially the first day, how India bounced back was just heartwarming as a cricket fan.
Yeah, I mean, that second innings, I mean, the first Australian innings was something, man, because I was watching it in office. This is also my first BGT, covering cricket. I wasn't covering the series itself, but working with colleagues, working with people who were covering the series. So first time watching with people who are equally interested in it. It was always अपने आप से उठो अकेले देखो बाद में तुम जाके स्कूल में हो कॉलेज में हो जहाँ पे भी हो डिस्कस कर लेना. So it was great fun यार, especially that second innings. We all office एक तो it was Friday, ऐसा भी नहीं कि office बंद है. And to set some context to the rest of our folks, cricket.com जहाँ पे काम करती है, there are other teams. There's a tech team, तो उनका तो typical corporate job है. उन सबके बीच में हम लोग जोर जोर से चिल्ला रहे कि जब भी बुमराह विकेट ले रहा है, सिराज अच्छा डाल रहा है. It was manic and I just love it. It's very close to, I mean, perfection in terms of not just the game, but the whole experience. So I absolutely love the game.
Yeah, before I go on to the MNL question of the night, and of course, ask you guys in the comments and not just Akshay and Nix, I just want to ask Nix about Jasprit Bumrah, because you mentioned Perth, how we normally think of that venue is spicy, fast, and all of that. And that's Bumrah, literally, as a player, as a bowler. And it was always going to be just a matter of time that he's going to get a player of the match in Perth. So was it just meant to be, Nix? The fact that he bowled his heart out 5 for 30, could have got 6 for 30. Remember, Hazelwood was dropped by punt. So can you sum up how Bumrah has just been, not just for India, but probably just a national treasure?
I mean, there is a reason why I call him One Bumrah, right? It's not just a random slang or a random lingo that I want to use, because, see, it is one thing to be able to know. Again, I'll repeat myself. In an attack which has which has two debutants, they have not played. Of course, they are debutants. मतलब Australia में भी नहीं खेले आप, and then you have Siraj, who at times blows hot and cold. To be able to just set the tone after your side is 150 all out, as Akshay said, it was that first spell. The first spell, the wickets of Nathan McSweeney, and then you get Steve Smith out like that. You are setting the game up like nothing, because then you're putting the cat among the pigeons, ke bhai, and even Manas was dropped. So
Yeah.
it could have been so much worse for Australia in that regard, but eventually he found a way out. But for Bumrah to be able to lead that well as a captain, also, I think it was a very good test. You can say maybe he overbowled, but then that is what fast bowling is all about. That he said that in the post-match conference as well, that I was banking on my experience the last time I played here, that the deck gets quickened on the second and the third day. So to have that smarts and to be able to execute, yeah, he had to do what he did. Only then would have Harshit, Siraj, and everybody would have come into the game. So NKR also bowled very well. Siraj also bowled very well. But Bumrah set the tone. And when that happens, it just takes the pressure off the other guys, because then, an animated Virat Kohli and a pumped up Jasprit Bumrah. What else do you need? The one thing that I will stay with me is the celebration that he did with Travis Head.
Exactly.
You rarely see Bumrah celebrate. And for him to go like this, Travis Head has given us some nightmares for sure.
No, and that was exactly my point, which I was going to make to Akshay. The fact that we saw that side of Bumrah as well, we saw a calm side about him. We saw him at the toss, where he's such a really nice guy. I spoke to Melinda Farrell before the test match started. They look at him as a puppy in terms of Australian eyes. So he doesn't have that sort of thing. But today, it was unleashing that, almost like, the 2023 defeat in the ODI World Cup, where he was so close to nicking Travis' head off. But nonetheless, Bumrah, Akshay, a word from you on him. Not like it's having an appreciation club, but we are literally, because this man has played 8 tests in Australia. We're talking 40 wickets. So that is unthinkable, unfathomable. According to you, Bumrah, can we now literally rely on him and then go on to win a 3-0 or a 4-0 there? I know we shouldn't get carried away, like what Nick said, but with him in our pack, those Australian batters look like sitting ducks, bro.
Yeah, with Bumrah, to be honest, I feel all that's left is for us to just feel embarrassed about how little of the narrative and coverage we give to him, given how much of all these conversations happen around the select few. But in terms of not just the game and the series, of course, I like most of you did not see this coming. Not just the result, the performance, just the way they really took the fight to the Aussies. I really thought India were down and out. Yeah, like a 3-0 loss at home to New Zealand is something that would put the best out of business. But the fact that they were able to come out of it, and Bumrah, the way he captained that post-match presentation, to be honest, is something people should listen to. यार वो जैसे अभी NBA ये सब में ना Steve Jobs का सुनाते कि जाके देखो Steve Jobs ने क्या बोला था. I would honestly suggest all of you to go and check out what Bumrah had to say. The way he just kept talking about as a leader, I wanted to take it upon myself. It was my responsibility, and I wanted to take the tough overs. I wanted to take the bull by its horns. I did not want to just wait there for things to happen. I knew that I had the experience of having been here before, and I want to do that. So it was very heartening to see. And in terms of Bumrah being able to do this again, yaar, मेरे को अभी डर ये है. I just don't want the Indian think tank or Bumrah himself to get carried away कि भाई अच्छे फॉर्म में हो तो मैं 5 टेस्ट खेल जाऊंगा. I still feel कि थोड़ा सा मतलब I feel we should exercise with caution, थोड़ा सा ध्यान से. But this is as good a start as it can get. If you remember what Arshidhar sir also said last week, पहले 3 टेस्ट मैचेस heading into Brisbane, if we are 1-1 at least, then it is our series to lose. We are already 1-0 up. At the very least, we will be 1-1 once we head to Brisbane on the 15th of December. So yeah, fingers crossed from here.
Yeah, well summed up,
Sorry.
boys.
I almost heard him say that it is RCBs to lose, but it was not RCBs to lose. It was our series to lose.
Yeah, well spotted out there with all the kind of news going around with the IPL, which we will talk about. So if you're watching this chat right now, just let's, of course, celebrate India's win a little bit more. And before we talk about what changes we could see, because Rohit is in Perth practicing already, I just want to ask you guys in the chat and the boys the question of MNL tonight, which is this India's best win in Australia in terms of test matches, right? So I'm automatically thinking, guys, Brisbane comes to mind, Adelaide 2003, you can probably throw in terms of test matches, right? So I'm automatically thinking, guys, Brisbane comes to mind, Adelaide 2003.
We now know how much he loves himself.
Where is this coming from? Oh my God, sorry. Embarrassing. I don't know where that's come from. Literally, I don't know which device. Anyway, yeah, MNL question of the night. What do you think, Nix? Where do you stand on this?
Difficult to go past Gabba, no? It's very, very hard to. It's very tempting to put it ahead of Gabba.
Correct.
But
because we were bowled out for 150, bro, that's a joke, especially in Australia.
But this was still your preferred 9, if not 11. That wasn't your preferred 9 also. It was bits and pieces clubbed together, excellent execution. And at Gabba, again, the venue also plays a part in terms of what it holds, how big Tuta hai Gabba ka Gaman is what it is for a very specific reason. So I'm not going to jump the gun and say that we'll get another big win like that. But to do what Gabba did at that point of time against a very good side, I would probably put this second best. Gabba takes the game. I think very difficult to put Gabba anywhere down the order.
I have a different call, but I'll wait Akshay for his opinion right now. Cheekily, Mayank saying full form of BGT, baggy green thrashed. Indian fans are loving it right now. But honestly, Akshay, what do you think? Do you think Gabba, like Knicks, is the best, or do you think this was?
Yeah, man. I mean, what Gabba made me feel is something. It'll be very hard, yaar. I don't know if I'll ever feel what I felt that day, because it was just one of those things. Peak COVID था, it wasn't the greatest of times in general. Like ऐसा भी नहीं कि मतलब बाकी सब ठीक है. अभी तो बाकी सब चल रहा. IPL auction था हमें distract करने के लिए. There was very little going in in our favor that way. And then you kept hearing all these stories ki India is not being treated nicely and all of those things happening off the field. For India to be able to do that, it's something else. So yeah, I'll still have Gabba well and truly on top.
I actually have Adelaide, guys. I'll tell you why. Because in 2003, and this is not childhood nostalgia, it's just that win also was significant. The fact that we hadn't won in Australia for, I think, 22 years leading up to that moment. So I feel that was pretty significant, given the fact that Australia also went on a mount 550 odd. We were against the wall. And then, of course, the wall himself delivered, and then Sachin taking wickets, Agarkar 6 for. So that stands the test of time for me, even though I know people would like Gabba because of so-and-so reasons. So let us know. It's the MNL question tonight. No one's right or wrong here. But I want to ask Nix the next question in terms of India-Australia. And even though there's a fair break of now and the Adelaide test, this one, with Rohit back for the second test, Nix, who comes in, who goes out? Is it the inevitable Padikkal Jurel going out and Rohit Gill?
Yeah, you'd suppose so. I don't think we've heard much on Gill in terms of how that hand is shaping up. So I think Rohit comes in immediately without any shadow of doubt. If Gill is not available. Unfortunately, but KL will have to then bat at 3. It's amazingly, I don't know, good, bad, worse that the guy keeps getting shuffled around, but very, very
By the
happy
end
for
of the tour, he'll bat at every position.
That's what I genuinely think it could potentially happen, but don't want it to happen because they're number 4 as scored runs. So there is time. We'll talk about that knock after a bit. So I think those two are very straightforward. I also expect one more change if they want to rest Harshit. I think Akashdeep will not be a bad ploy to be tried for the pink ball game.
I agree.
Remains to be seen how they go in the practice game because we haven't seen him much with the older ball. So maybe the practice game could give us enough idea if Akashdeep can do something with the pink ball. So उस गेम के लिए तो उस रिव्यू के लिए तो I have the pink ball ready. Hopefully Akashdeep can come in and have a good game.
Yeah, speaking of the pink ball, Akshay, Australia impregnable in Adelaide, but they're also impregnable in Perth. So what is your Indian 11 looking like to go 2-0 up? Rohit obviously is back for you. And who is your opening choice? Who are your bowlers? Does NKR stay for you? Does Sundar stay for you? So many questions to be asked, even though India banged them off by 295 runs.
I would try and keep things simple. Rohit, of course, comes in. So I would have Padikkal go out. And I'm not sure Gill ka fitness abhi kya scene hai. So agar Gill fit hai, to Gill, of course, walks in at number 3. Jurel also walks out and KL slots back to his natural position, number 6. Simple as that. Should Gill still not be fit, then, oh man, then I guess KL will have to bat at number 3. I would hold on. I would keep the rest as is because I don't want to make too many changes. I want one who, unfortunately, KL has to be the one sacrificing. It's genuinely unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, we just have to accept it. So that's how I'm looking at it. And in terms of bowling, I'm not sure of what sort of a surface to expect, but fair to say, I don't see a lot of spin being, I mean, I don't expect the surface to be very spinner friendly. So that way, bowling attack pretty much remains the same for me. Siraj, NKR, Harshit Rana, and Bumrah, I would still hold on to it. They've done well, and I like what I saw of Harshit Rana, especially in the first inning. So hopefully, he will be able to keep up the good work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they also say, why change something when it's not broken, even though India are seemingly having their tails up. So let's see how it kind of meanders. They also play the Prime Minister's 11 in the span between this test match and the second one. And India haven't played a day-night test match in a while. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all unravels. Remember, Nick, Som, and Vikas will be with you guys tomorrow night to just break down the Perth win with some data and some talking points, build ahead to that Adelaide test as well. So catch them tomorrow. This time, it'll be a riveting watch. Right. Quickly, before we move on to best of the rest and all of that, just want to ask you really quickly, guys, what is your predictions for Adelaide? Let's just get that out of the way. Do you think India can put the ghosts of 36 all out behind and make it 2-0?
Yeah, you would hope it happens, but probably too early to take a call. I don't think Australia is going to just take it lightly. They were clearly rusty, clearly undercooked, maybe underprepared, but Pat has already mentioned that they'll look to go to Adelaide a day earlier and figure things out. I think their batting is something that gives me hope. Their head ही form में है. So if you are able to take out the top 4 very early, it will mean that head is then taking them to a power score. So if you are able to then match it, you will be in the game. But if one of those top 4 find a way to score big, then I think India will be in trouble. And the thing that India needs to take care of, something that should not be lost, is in this game.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. 13-year-old Vaibhav Raghuvanshi has got teams interested. There are 2 bids. RRDC are bidding. There's a bidding war going on right now for Vaibhav Raghuvanshi. I'm really sorry to cut you guys. 13 years old. 7th standard में है बंदा. Summer vacation है अगले साल उसका. बाकी सब वेकेशन पे जा रहे होंगे और ये भाई साहब IPL खेलने जा रहे होंगे भाई. I'm really sorry.
So we'll reflect it at 9 p.m. But thanks for that update and that headline. And if you guys are listening on Spotify, blame Akshay because it was a beautiful BGT chat.
I'm really sorry.
But it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. We like that update. Next, go on.
Yeah, so I was just saying in this first test, what you have to realize is India played a lot more with just 4 bowlers. They were very hesitant to use NKR as a bowling option. Though I was clearly surprised by how much assistance he got when he came on to bowl today. Even in the very first over, he was able to surprise Mitch Marsh with few that bounced a bit more on him. So That is something that they will have to manage, because you can't see. Bumrah said, "I wanted to do the tough job," but you cannot always do that, and India cannot afford to lose him at all at any point of time in this series. So that is where I feel they'll have to really rotate their options. Maybe use NKR with the new ball, if at all, because he's someone who's good at swinging the new ball. So if he's someone who can just use that lacquer and move it around with the new ball, if it's the pink one, and he can do well in the warm-up game, then maybe it's a better option for them, because that is something that they will have to manage. Sundar also bowled only in the last innings. First innings में तो चलो जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, but you'll have to really manage the workload there. You can't bowl out over bowl Harshit and Bumrah then.
Yeah, because it's a 5-match test series, so I understand where you're coming from, and I feel like India will kind of be able to employ resources accordingly. Remember, Sydney is a turner / forecaster for rain, so Ashwin Jadeja can always come in there, and they'll probably be somewhere playing a game in the series, you feel. Right, let's quickly talk about what's making news in the world right now. I know a 13-year-old boy is going over 1 crore. We'll talk about that. The excitement is palpable. 1.1 right now it stands. What else is happening? We lost, of course, sorry, I was going to say we lost, but Zimbabwe beat Pakistan in terms of just absolute shithousery there. Nix, did you see that game? Highlights of it? What could you add to it?
No, nothing. Too much of Perth and auction to be watching. I would definitely want to catch up on those highlights, but miraculous actually. This thing, cricket is running on some different kind of medicine, to put it mildly, because this team beats Australia in Australia and then goes to Zimbabwe and then loses to Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter who you play, bro. Eventually, you are good enough to represent your country. So, very interesting times in cricket world over.
No, that is true. I mean, a blessing, or should I say blessing, Mr. Rabani, and the spinners helping Zimbabwe there. Sri Lanka, New Zealand's happening, but then Sri Lanka go to South Africa for test. And it's funny because England, West Indies happened, and then England are playing New Zealand now. In a different day, we wouldn't have actually seen this happening. It just shows the luxury of squads for every team in different formats, and cricket's becoming like that. Are you guys going to watch anything of the New Zealand-England test, which happens this week on Thursday? I know Jimmy Anderson unsold in the IPL. He was participating as a fielder, I think a 12th-man substitute fielder in that game against the Prime Minister in the beautiful stadium in New Zealand, whichever that is. I think Mount Maunganui or Bay Oval, I think. But nonetheless, New Zealand, England, does that tickle your test taste buds, Akshay, after what New Zealand did to India, Bazball returning home, and if New Zealand still win this series 3-0, apparently there's a slither of hope for them to qualify for the WTC final.
Yeah, I mean, it'll still be difficult, yeah, because काफी सारा दूसरा काम भी है जो खत्म करना है. I would still try and catch up on the highlights and definitely will be tracking it through scorecards. Thankfully, there will be someone else from our team who would be covering it, so we'll be having conversations with them.
What is so thankful about it? As in the timings, or just because you can focus on IPL?
I can focus on IPL and also the fact that I don't have to actively keep track of it to still know what's happening. मुझे निखिल भाई है, कोई ना कोई कुछ बता देगा, हम सुन लेंगे, अच्छा ये अच्छा किया, वो अच्छा किया, तो we'll get an understanding. So yeah, so I'll manage. इतना पता है.
I'll tell you why I'll be waking up, or rather sleeping so late to watch that test match, because Jacob Bethel might get a debut, lad. Now I'm interested. Now I'm definitely interested. And of course, I have to be
invested in his personal life.
I think they picked Shoaib Bashir, and Jack Leach is going on the toss. So obviously I have to be there, let alone anything. If you guys know, you know. Anyway, moving on. What else is hitting our screens in terms of cricket? Smat. Apparently, Mohammad Shami bowled 4 overs, none for 42 in that game. Why are they playing him in the white ball game when he needs to be there? Oh, sorry, there, down under.
Just checking his body. Just
what night? You're saying he won't go to Australia only?
No, मतलब 4 overs 4 ओवर डालने से वो अनफिट तो नहीं हो रहा है. तो अगर वो अनफिट हो जाता है तो मतलब वो कभी फिट था ही नहीं. तो सीधी सी बात है. So
if you want to get miles in the legs, there's other ways to do it. But sorry, Nix, you were having your own thing on Shami, right?
So I heard or I read that apparently he'll play a few games and they'll see if his body can manage what I don't know, which kind of workload by bowling 4 overs. But maybe then they'll probably take a call, because any which ways, if he had to go for the second test For the practice game, he should have been leaving in a couple of days. So we don't know if that will happen. So most likely it feels like third test only, if at all it happens in that way. But a lot of runs being scored, so many centuries, which is good. Shahbaz Ahmed scored a brilliant century, chasing a score from 10 for 4. So good to see runs being scored and T20 taking off, actually taking off in the country in the format that we want it to.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned T20 there because I was just kind of scurrying through the scorecard from Lagos earlier today, or yesterday, beg your pardon. Nigeria playing Ivory Coast, and Nigeria belted 271 for 4, Akshay, in their 20 overs, okay? And thanks to 100 from Salim Salah, who got 112 of 53. What a fucking knock that was. And in response, the mighty Ivory Coast, 7 all out in 7.3 overs.
7 ball bhi khele, acha 9 ball khele.
7.3 overs.
7.3 overs. Oh wow.
Yeah,
wow.
how could you play? How could you be all out in 9 balls, bro?
मैं वही बोलने वाला था. मैं वही 1.3 overs से 9 ball हुआ. एक और ball चाहिए ना. मैं literally वही बोलने वाला था. But ठीक.
Incredible, man. So 264 run win also, which means it was the third in the list of the biggest victory in margins in T20 internationals for men's. I mean, ridiculous. But props to all the Nigerian boys over there who would have a great time in Abuja. Right. What's to watch this week? Let's skip on and quickly just show you what are the international games to, of course, whet your appetite. We spoke about all the other games. Sri Lanka, South Africa also has WTC repercussions on it. And we'll, of course, break it down for you in terms of the next Monday Night Live, where we can reflect on all these games as well. Right. On to Akshay's quiz next. And before we talk about all things IPL as well, before Dan Weston comes on, we'll probably just be bantering amongst ourselves about certain things which has gone on. But that was the best of the rest, guys. Even though I didn't play the sting, it was. But now I'll play the sting of the other one, which is Akshay's quiz. That last MNL was pretty decent in terms of traction and views and all of that. And it's been picking up lovely. And I love that in terms of you guys subscribing to our channel as well. So like this video. But last week's MNL also had a decent Howzzaat, which got traction in the comments. So did anyone win it, Akshay? And he's on mute. He's on mute.
Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you getting chatty about this. A lot of you got it right in bits and pieces, of course. But yeah, let's have the question out first. Only 3 players had 6 teams bidding for them in the last mega auction, the most for any player. The idea was for you guys to try and ID them and also try and see if you guys get the teams right, of course. The 3 players are Deepak Hooda, R. Sai Kishore, and Tim David, of course. Quite a few of you getting it right. But in the spirit of appreciating and rewarding honesty, of course, we've decided to give it to AJ Ragnarok. Good on him कि he said कि भाई 2 नाम मैंने खुद से निकाले, 1 नाम मैंने दूसरे comments पढ़ के मुझे पता चला. But anyways, congratulations, AJ Ragnarok. You're the lucky winner this time around. So do get in touch with us on Twitter. And of course, you can get yourself an Amazon voucher from us. This time around, again, sticking to the theme of IPL auctions. Very simple. Kidhar hai? There we go. Nee, this is the one. Mega auctions, of course, are known for their bidding wars. We've, in fact, seen quite a few in this very auction. What I want you guys to identify is the biggest ever bidding war happened in this very edition. I want you guys to tell me who the player was. So, to be clear, of course, this seems very vague. Bidding wars, yahan pe matlab hai, a player gets sold for X amount. Let's say a player gets sold for 2 crores with only 2 teams bidding from start to end. So Ravichandran Ashwin 2011, you guys might remember the RCB CSK bidding war. Start to end, it was just 2 teams bidding. So similarly, amongst players who've been bid by just 2 teams, so that's a proper bidding war. That's essentially the definition of a bidding war. Amongst players who've been bid by just 2 teams, I want you guys to ID who the most expensive player was. It was massive, by the way, so that's already a very big in there. So amongst all the bidding wars that have happened, the biggest one in the history of IPL happened in this very edition. I want you guys to ID the player. There you go. Very simple. Looking forward to seeing what you guys guess. And of course, one lucky winner stands to win a cool 500 rupee Amazon voucher from us. So yeah, that's that from Howzzaat, of course. There you go, Avnish. Back to you. Before that, of course, disclaimer. Please wait for the live stream to end. Do not key in your answers in the live chat. मेन कमेंट्स में लाइव स्ट्रीम खत्म होने के बाद अपने आंसर्स डालिए टू स्टैंड और टू स्टे एलिजिबल टू विन योरसेल्फ अ वाउचर फ्रॉम अस.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's going to be really making these guys think. But every time I think you have a good question, there'll be some guy or bloke or girl getting it right in the comments, man. And it just makes me think it's a very smart audience that we've procured. We don't want to be in the millions as yet. We'll get there. We talk about mass, but we have class at cricket.com, and it's up to you guys. So brilliant. One second. Nikhil Bhai has a question right now. We'll give Nikhil Bhai this question in the 12th man for sure. And he's anyway going to talk about the IPL section right now next. So, Nix, over to you then in terms of Chennai Super Kings first. Dan will join us when he has to join us. We've gone 23 minutes ahead of time. So let's just randomly rumble upon the auction roundup or auction replay, as I like to call it. So, Chennai Super Kings, I think, bro, they've got some really good names, even though people are saying, oh, they're going back to their old players. So what? That's good, right? So please tell me you're happy as a Chennai fan.
Yeah, of course you would be happy. Again, when you probably follow it too much, you feel there are a few gaps that you want to fill in terms of very specific requirements. But overall, I think the 12 looks fairly settled. You have your favorite pair back up top opening. Conway Ruturaj, you have most likely Rahul Tripathi at 3. 4 could be Shivam. 5 could be... Now, 5 is the place where there is the debate whether you want to play with Sam or you want to still buy someone who can hit pace, because that's the one opening there. They've taken Deepak Hooda, Vijay Shankar. For some reason, I hope genuinely that they have a very solid reason for backing these two options, because they haven't at times been the best buys for other teams. So they're coming back home. One is coming back home in Vijay Shankar. Hopefully, that is something that works out for them. And for a change, they have a lot of Tamil Nadu players. So that is something that I'm actually very happy about. That they got back Gurjapneet. I wanted them to take him. So he's back. Ashwin is back. Vijay Shankar is back. So the spin quartet is sorted with an excellent buy of Noor Ahmed, who I feel is a very, 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 very good prospect. Long-term option. CSK have never gone to leggies as much. Overseas, so last I remember Imran Tahir. Uske baad, they've played with Chawla, they've had Solanki playing a few games here and there. So Noor Ahmed is good. They got Khalil Ahmed, which I was very happy about. Again, he was the man of the match when Chennai played DC there. And they have good backup in Nathan Ellis. I think Nathan Ellis was a very, very impressive buy. So the lineup to me looks fairly settled. Now, again, you have Anshul Kamboj in as a power play option for Deepak Chahar, who went up. So I think fairly, very predictable team in terms of who they went for and how they've gotten it. I am still skeptical about that pace hitter role, but maybe it might need some rejigging right up top, or they may bat Rashid down the order, or they may push Sam up and train him and Jadeja to hit pace. So, or Ashwin might be promoted like he was with RR. So you never know there.
I love how they don't have a backup wicketkeeper, but who cares? Because MS Dhoni is gonna be there, bro, and he's gonna just
imagine backing an uncapped keeper in your main 11.
Exactly. Have the balls, Akshay, to put a guy like that. Do we have the balls to do that? No, we don't.
सीधा जेकब बेथल को फर्स्ट 11 में लाने की नौबत आप पड़ी है और बॉल्स की बात करते हैं.
That is taking a punt on England's future. He scored a 16 ball 56. 16 ball 56 for Warwickshire. And by the way, I'll come on to Jacob Bethel in just a bit, because Maxwell also just played with him on Warwickshire, and he said, bro, this guy's the maverick for the future and all of that stuff. Now,
personally, bro, this guy, legend, this guy's the shit, bro. No, kidding, I agree. I've heard only good things about him from everyone, including Dan. So Dan actually would be better placed to talk about him. I've heard very good things. I mean, he's also spoken very highly of him. So yeah, let's hope it's a good buy for RCB.
Right. So basically, I just wanted to get Nikhil's quick thoughts about Chennai Super Kings, because they did do some good business today. You talk about even Deepak Hooda as a commodity over there. They got Sheikh Rashid, who they've had before. They didn't go for Hangargekar, but they got someone like Kamlesh Nagargoti. So they're working with young bowlers, and I like that. There's a bloke called Ramakrishna Ghosh, who's an all-rounder. Apparently, he's been doing the rides. And Jamie Overton, who I really wanted for RCB. But then you guys are like, nah, bro, shoulder, tuta, futa. I'm just like, what?
But one thing, wait a second. So are there speakers on each of these team tables?
Yeah, they are, because we were listening to doing the watch along on mute. We wouldn't know. When it
but
came
then
to
my question is, isn't it helping other teams? भाई, अगर MS धोनी अपने घर पे बैठा है, वो टीवी देख रहा है, he can hear, like, if these broadcasters like jackasses like Stephen Fleming का अगर मैंने सुना है, तो कोई और भी तो सुन सकता है, और वो बोल देगा भाई जेमी ओवर्टन सीएसके लेना चाहता है, प्राइस बढ़ा दो.
it won't be like that. I don't think it's that quick. They anyway, like they've only moved it for the broadcasters, I feel. Because even if you look at it, when they're playing the heartbeat music in the background, they're not actually doing that in the Jeddah like place, bro. You know what I mean? This is all just for TV gimmicks.
आप बताओ, if I've heard it, naturally other people would have heard it. Now, so my point is, what if other teams get to know of this strategy without, like, CSK को पता नहीं कि भाई मेरी बातें कोई सुन
No,
सकता है.
sorry,
Like,
but the speakers, you lip read him saying Overton. He
not
didn't
lip
say
read.
like,
I heard it. I wasn't even watching. मैं तो दूसरे tab पे था. मैं scroll कर रहा था and I could hear Stephen Fleming say, "We can't go more than 2. I need Jamie." He said this explicitly. I heard it. I didn't read it. Sundar
Okay.
Raman was telling how much, and Stephen Fleming said no more than 2. I need Jamie. इसीलिए or something on those lines. जो भी मैंने group पे आपको बोला.
Okay, fine, fair enough. Now I just want to quickly, before we go into the other teams, because look, this is going to be a long ML. Like I said, Dan's going to join us, and I want to talk about Chennai. We'll talk about the other things, but because the breaking news of that 1 crore 13-year-old going to RR,
1 crore 10 lakhs, yeah, RR.
1 crore 10 lakhs, beg your pardon. We'll talk about that and Vaibhav and what he is, because 104.62 is what he scored in that under 19 game against Australia in 2024, which is absolutely riveting. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get into IPL color clothing right now. And I'm not wearing the IPL jersey by any stretch, but because the IPL auction was in Saudi, I just thought of wearing the Al Nassr kit. Good old Ronaldo in it. So, Nick's has got his yellow as well. So let's have Nick's yellow and Akshay's red, right? Are you a Red Riding Hood?
Orange. RCB's orange jersey.
Anyway, right-handed team, right wing man. Let's see how it goes. Well, that's true, right? Anyway, guys.
एक जो गलत बोलो, झूठ बोलो, ऊपर से ट्रू है बोल के गैसलाइट करो, ये सही है भाई.
Okay, fine. 1 second. So, what are your thoughts about a 13-year-old playing the IPL? Do you think now this is just a wake-up call to the nation? People will be like, I want to throw my son to the school as early as possible. Like, this is a story which is just going to catch, I don't know, the world by its storm, I feel. Akshay, you first and then Nick's.
Oh, definitely. I mean, these are the kind of stories people love to hear, especially in this part of the world. We know how much we as Indians are suckers for, drama, emotions, and all of that. When you hear a 13-year-old kid's made it to the big stage, I mean, it's fantastic. My only thing is, like, I'm just trying to think from Ara's point of view, what's the reason? Like, is the focus on actually looking at him as not first 11 starter, but as someone who could potentially make it to the 11, or is it कि भाई प्रोजेक्ट प्लेयर है, 13 साल की उम्र में अगर ये ऑस्ट्रेलिया अंडर 19 के सामने सेंचुरी मार सकता है, जैसे रियान पराग को उन्होंने 4 साल दिया, वैभव को अपन 4 साल देता है, 1.1 crores is the investment, but then the returns will be fantastic. Left-handed batter and clearly look good यार, मतलब 13 साल का यार, I can't fathom, like, मैं जब 13 साल का था स्कूल टीम के लिए खेल रहा था भाई, और मुझे लगता था कि भाई मैंने फोड़ दिया. Like, that's where I was at, and to think you're representing an IPL franchise at that age, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Nick, your thoughts? Because, I mean, if he does get a game, and knowing Ara, the kind of franchise they want to provide opportunity to the youngsters, this will be some statement to just world cricket.
Yeah, fair, but I genuinely trust Dravid to not rush him. I think he's the best person there to take a call on whether the guy is ready for IPL cricket and what kind of role they give him. So again, this is very, very tricky to take a call on, because the last 16-year-old was a very, very special guy who went on to then play for the country at that age. So he could be the next. We do not know. So I think, which is why I feel Dravid is the best person, and I trust his judgment to be able to know if he can handle the pressures of an IPL, not just IPL, just pressures of high intense cricket. You have to remember, he's 30. People are 31 and they're not able to cope with it. So 13 is a very, 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 I can keep going until we say very, because it's a very tender age, let's put it that way. So it is good for the game, but you'll have to be really careful, even if you're looking for something like that, because it will take something special to break through the ranks first, and then to be able to get and make 11. At this point of time, I think I will agree with Akshay. Good project player. Keep him with you. See if you think if he's ready. So because see, we can't speak from outside if he's ready, because we haven't seen anything else apart from that one now. So good for him. Very happy for him. But yeah, it will attract negative attraction also. So hopefully he's well managed.
Okay, super. I just generally look at that story and I'm just like, wow, yeah, this is amazing. You guys have given your thoughts on it, and I feel like spot on with both of you all. And plays for Bihar, and what he just got 5 first-class games, and those numbers are not really the ones which just captivated everyone at the auction table. It's about that 100. It's about just taking a punt on youngsters of this, and if it comes off, imagine that. So he's already in the record books. And just to give you a fun fact, the boy was 5 days old when India won the World Cup in 2011. 5 days old. That just to set context, nothing else. Right. Where is Weston? Akash is asking in the comments.
Good way to make us all feel like dinosaurs. Thanks.
I mean, eventually we will be, man, and that's a sad matter of life. But yeah, I mean, apologetically unapologetic. Right. Let's kind of preempt the 12th man segment, because I was going to ask you boys anyway a bunch of questions. There are tons coming through. We'll take that next, and we'll open with my banging question. Right, so I was having a random chat, right, with my mom and sister, and I was just like, did you see the auction? They were like, yeah. And then they were like, who was the biggest winner in the auction, the biggest loser? By winner, they didn't mean, okay, fine, Pant being the most expensive signing on the planet. They meant like who really dished out the cash. My initial thoughts was Yuzvendra Chahal, because 18 crores last time he got, 6.25 from RR. So he's really made it big. Can you think of other winners in the auction? And then we'll move on to the losers. Who else really won for you? I can think of Venki Iyer. You can see my reactions later this week. That's another one which comes to mind. I can think of Priyansh Arya, for example. 3.8 crore for him. It's pretty decent. So, Akshay,
Noor Ahmed 10 CR, definitely. I mean, I don't think Noor would have thought कि भाई 10 crore मिलेगा. It was actually an impressive piece of auction between from Gujarat and Chennai there. Both were clearly interested in holding on to him, and yeah, he's a gun bowler. But yeah, 10 crores definitely. I don't think he would have seen coming, and I don't think we also saw that coming. मतलब 10 crore मिलेगा. Bhuvi Karthik Arora also mentioned that's also a very good shout. I don't think anyone saw that, because he was sold for 4.2 crores in the 2022 mega auction. So yeah, I mean these two names definitely off the top of my head
as your winners, right? So next, who do you think won it for you in terms of any, not steals, because we'll come on to that, just guys who've really lucked out in this year's auction?
Yeah, I think Venki is someone who I think will be genuinely pleased. There is a lot of context in it as well. Retained over Gill, lot of noise, and then he goes on to have a great season. Last time plays well in the knockouts and gets as much as the captain that where they had to let go of. So that way it feels good for him. Genuinely very pleased for Bhuvi. I didn't expect him to go for that price. And to RCB, his first ever IPL team. So happy for these two guys in particular. And yeah, Noor Ahmed also, I think my third pick. Baki to, in one way, I think this auction has been fairer in terms of not many people have been given absurd prices, which I think is a good thing for the IPL auction in general.
Yeah, I agree, because all these experts who were doing mock auctions, they were going for 29, 33 crores. That's enormous sums. Didn't happen. You wanted to add two more names as winners?
Yeah, Jitesh at 11 and Natarajan at 10.75. The latter was well deserved even, so I'm not even complaining. But Natarajan, of course, like Natarajan, Bhuvi, these are the kind of names that वो किसी भी team के लिए खेले ना तुम support तो करोगे भाई. You'll never want them. I mean, you would never not want to see them do well. So good to see them also get some good money.
Yeah, I think my winners are clearly all the Indian pacers. To props to them, yeah, like from Shami to Bhuvi to Mukesh to Prasidh to Kuldeep Sen. Kuldeep Sen, yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you. Even people like Yash Thakur, Vishak, you look at even down the pecking order, they've really kind of earned their Bucks. Losers then in terms of the IPL auction so far. No holding back, yeah. Come on, Akshay and Nix. Who do you think was the biggest panauti, or just the guy who would have been like, yeah, ye kaise hua and all of that stuff? Is it KL? Sadly enough, 14 crores, because I'm thinking surely 18 plus tha, yaar, or no? Fair price.
See, मतलब fair price in terms of value अगर हमें ascertain करना है ना कि हमें कितना दूंगा, मैं 14-15 ही देता. But considering how much Shreyas and Rishabh went for, definitely Rahul would feel hard done by. He's practically gotten about half of what Iyer and Pant have been paid. And yeah, so those that way, yeah. But आज तो यार Washington Sundar, Sam Curran, Marco Jansen even, I was very surprised the way they were sold. Washington Sundar going for just 3.2 crores, Sam Curran for 2.4 crores, Marco Jansen for 7. So all of them were Livingston also. I'll add Livingston as well. I was very surprised.
For 2.4, Rutherford
for David for 3. I mean, if you want to just like given considering that finishers and all usually are the kind of roles or the kind of players that tend to get a lot of money. Very surprised, or to see all of these names go solo, go for solo.
Okay,
this is Sam Curran.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, next.
Sorry. I think Sam Curran would be the guy that I would be like, how much did he got last time? And he's gone for just not even, I mean, comparable to that regard. But I'm happy that he's come to Chennai that way. Good comeback, coming back home. Better setup, hopefully, for him to make the most of. And yeah, I think agree with all the names mentioned, because I genuinely expected Livingston to go for over 15 CR, because I mean, value hai uske sath, form hai. But
and
good
current form beyond top of that.
Current form, exactly. So good in a way that the people have given them fair price. Okay, good.
Not
any more losers?
Just one thing, like, losers, just explain me the handshake between Akash and RCB when Tim David. Please.
I was so happy with the deal. He's really just been like, chutiya bana diya. I'm literally not even joking. I like, bro, he's given us.
Kisne bana diya?
Akash getting Will Jacks in this deal. And
voluntarily decided, na? Aisa to hai nahi ki unhone bola
bro, but like I just think we've got Tim David in return, which is just leftovers. They've just chewed him out, spat him out, and given it to us. It's unbelievable.
If anything, I'll still say, see, between Phil Salt and Will Jacks, I personally like Will Jacks more. I'll say that. But from what I understand, the world over, Phil Salt is rated a lot more. इतना तो मेरे को समझ आ गया, and I understand why Will Jacks के हैं कुछ weaknesses हैं, but I mean, I don't know what was up with that handshake, and also because मैं घर आया and I just turned the TV on and broadcast पे Robin Uthappa just says that people will speculate. I'm like, भाई, तू broadcaster है, तू कैसे बोल रहा है कि people will speculate, people will start now asking why is he shaking hands, and also and Robin Uthappa himself says कि, come to think of it, RCB gets Tim David for dirt cheap, MI get Will Jacks for dirt cheap, and they both shake hands. People will just start speculating. I'm like, bro, why are you giving ideas?
One second. Before we progress with our conversation, because this segment is for you guys, Dan's hopping on literally 5 minutes from now. You guys can fire in some questions, any random shit that you want to ask us about the IPL. Plus, I just realized 130 if you guys are watching on YouTube and just 31 likes. Please like this video right now. We want to get 100 likes before we get Dan on, and we will of course pick the bones out of the auction with him. Real quick fire ones before we get Dan onto the show, and lots of people are already appreciating him and his threads. We'll ask him about all of those things because he prepared price points and so on and so forth, best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, and I really want to ask him about Jacob Bethel as well. Next, some questions to you really quickly, okay? And generally us. Rao Chaka saying, K. Gautam, did I miss him in the auction? He didn't come up, right? Yet?
Yet, nahi, he didn't come up, period. Khatam, aage badhiye.
Okay, so now what? So then what? Now, unsold players, what happens?
So every team right now, this is the final round, 3 to 5 players dena hai. This is going to be the final round of accelerated auctions. This is going to be the final bit of the accelerated round. So every team's been asked to give 3 to 5 players. So given that, expecting anyone to enter Gautam's name in that list of 3 to 5 when they've not given him in the list of 10 to 15 would be wishful thinking. But let's hope, fingers crossed.
My God, please, KG, man, if you're watching this, no detriment in terms of getting interviews on cricket.com. Keshav Agarwal saying RCB and KKR will finish last 2 in IPL, worst option for both of them. Look, don't hold back in terms of your opinion. And this is your place to be very honest. SPK 307, Nikhil Bhai, do you agree with this worst auction presentation wise?
भाई बहुत because broadcasting.
But are you really sure? Pakka, are you sure? Let me ask around the room. Ahead of the room, behind the room, in front of my building, below my building, outside my city, in my city. Dude, get on with it. So many picks. One example that I will really not forget. Tushar Deshpande nearly gone for 1 CR to Chennai. And she's asking. This is how irritating it is. And then RR comes in. The bid goes till 6 CR and then Chennai don't have Tushar and RR have Tushar. I have no clue who is happy now. Are Chennai happy कि हम एक में नहीं लिया या उसको 6 में लेना पड़ा या RR is happy के oh did we overspend on him or should have let we go? Oh, we got who we got. Absolutely no way to get that. And the worst bit is the graphics. If you miss something, how would you know who is bidding? It doesn't even show who has a current bid.
Today they made that change. They made that little 3-box setup, right? Where teams involved and then the live auction room.
But सारा auction तो खत्म हो चुका था ना भाई कल. Like if you're watching on mute, there's no way on earth for you to guess कि कौन bid कर रहा है. एक तो वो कैमरा भी नहीं दिखा रहा है. SRH पंजाब bid कर रहा है. ये लोग अंबानी के मुंह पे कैमरा लगा के बैठे हैं. अब क्यों भाई?
But 1 second. So let me just give Nick some more serious question and then move on to Dan Weston's side of things then. Dhruv Mitra had this one earlier, so I remembered it. Nikhil bhai, आपने बोला था Krunal Pandya will go to MI, but he came to RCB. How do you see this?
Very good buy. Because you have to remember he's one of those guys that Akshay had named in his 11 before the auction, and he had him in his pick. The good thing is he'll be used well because I think spinners like him, he doesn't have a great record at Chinnaswamy, but for people who have bowled there, his economy rate is I think 6 point something like that in that regard. So for left-arm spinners, value है RCB में, but use सही से करना पड़ेगा. तो very good buy. Hopefully he can do something with the bat because I genuinely feel कि चेन्नई RCB दोनों का एक issue है कि batting depth इतना नहीं है. And the names are very very good for domestic level, but we don't know how much they'll translate into IPL level performances. And so hopefully he can do well.
Okay, let's see. Interesting. Lots more comments coming through. Santosh Udupa always getting chatty, saying Ambani thinks Will Jack's move is a filmy thing. Wait until he realizes what he's done in the next year and releases back. Shubhankar Saha, strongest team on paper. We'll dissect exactly that with Dan Weston in the matter of moments in 30 seconds. Tech Brosif, agree. Very poor from Robbie. You doing that as a broadcaster. Akshay was mentioning that earlier. Tabre saying, how's SRH looking? We'll talk about them. Sonika has a point about Bill Jackson. He wonders whether we're going to buy Devdutt Padikkal back.
Sorry, one thing. Bingo card, I'd mentioned Punjab with Ponting will go for at least 5 Aussies. So far, they've bought 7 foreigners. 4 of them are Aussies. I'm pretty sure they'll be going for a 5th Australian. I'm just wondering who is it going to be.
In fact, Sukhveer earlier in the chat, one of the guys in the chat said, you guys have literally kind of got it right in terms of your bingo card. So good job, Akshay, for that. SPK saying RCB are themselves to blame. Look, you guys can keep commenting and we'll take all your names indeed. Relate and chill and enjoy. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Beetlejuice likewise. And Ankit Arora. There is Sachin. There's a lot of names. Look, anyway, let's move on to the guest of MNL. It's always a pleasure to make 3 into 4. If you thought 3 is a party, 4 is a fucking amazing chat and a half. And let's get the man to make it a foursome, a cricketing foursome, should I add? Dan Weston, cricketing royalty in terms of just being the best analyst out there. How's the last 2 days been for you, Dan? Hectic, I presume.
So hectic. Yeah, great to be here. Really, really good to join you guys and make it that quartet. And actually, noticed earlier that chat about Punjab's 4 overseas I just heard on the intro from Australia. It's actually 5 now. So with Xavier Bartlett joining up, is actually 5 with Bartlett, Harding.
Oh, they've got it from one, all right.
Inglis, Maxwell, and Stoinis. 5 Aussies now at Punjab Kings.
That's incredible.
Not surprised.
Indeed. By the way, Andy telling Akshay, can you please speak English, mate? The Hindi shows later on in the night. Having a laugh. Sonika saying, how's Jacob? Is he a good addition? Because that's the inevitable question I have as well. The excitement was palpable, Dan. 2.6 crore. I was crying out for Jacks to be RTM. They didn't even bother with that. And because I'm like colonially hungover and we've got Salt and Livingston, Bethel is a great prospect, right, in the RCB Red.
Yeah, so I thought that Jax might have been an RTM option for RCB. The news I was hearing from people inside the industry was that might be the case. Obviously, that didn't happen, so that's a great pickup for MI. And with regards to Jacob Bethel, I mean, I expected Jacob to be started. I've worked with him really closely in England over the last couple of years at Birmingham Phoenix. And let me tell you, this kid has so much potential. He could be a real superstar over this next cycle. Obviously, as you know, he's young. He's a left-hander who's got real power, despite not being the biggest guy. He's certainly got a lot of intent. He'll be able to whack a lot of sixes at the Chinnaswamy, that's for sure, as a home ground. I think that with the ball, I still think he's a bit of a work in progress. He plays for Warwickshire domestically in England and Birmingham, obviously, in the 100 as well. And both teams, I think, have got a lot of bowling options. So sometimes he's not even been like a sixth bowler for those teams. He's been more like an eighth bowler, but that's probably because of the strength of those two teams rather than necessarily his bowling not being quite as good. I think his bowling could be really effective in the future, but obviously having recruited Krunal Pandya as another left arm spinner, it's going to probably constrain how much Jacob Bethel bowls. I think also it's a really important point to note because if you haven't seen a lot of him, he's electric in the field. I think that if he's not the best fielder in England, he's in the top three 100%. And so I think that there's a lot to like there as an all-round package for him, and he certainly fits a lot of the gaps that RCB had in their squad. And I think it's a really smart pickup.
I think I read this article on ESPN which said great players think this bloke is good, and there's crazy amount of praise from great names: Stokes, Root, and Brooke. And then, of course, you look at Ian Bell saying, I think he's just the best thing he's seen for a while right now. So lots of good things coming Jacob Bethel's way. We'll break it down in terms of team by team, including RCB, with Dan, Nix, and Akshay here. Like this particular video before we move on, and subscribe if you guys are new. We're going to be here for the next hour or so. So just lock yourselves onto cricket.com. Boys, I'm not doing alphabetically in terms of teams. I'm just going to be randomly going by whichever I feel is just suiting my mood right here and now.
Starting with RCB?
No, I want to start with the other Royal team, actually, because they procured the 13-year-old for 1.1 crore, Dan, who we just spoke about. Your instant reactions to that and just the dynamics of Rajasthan Royals and the business that they've done so far.
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously going to be a major talking point. Them signing a 13-year-old for over a crore, which is, I think nobody really expected. Certainly, if that was on anyone's bingo card, then they deserve a full house for sure. But look, for me, I don't really understand the point of it because, you know, even in a 3-year cycle, he's only going to be 16 by year 3. The chances of him playing for them over this cycle are really quite low, unless something really out of the ordinary happens. And then what happens in 3 years' time when it's going to be potentially another mega auction and they can only retain a few people? Have they developed a player for somebody else's benefit, basically? It would be my question. Look, I don't know. I just don't see. I don't really understand it.
Okay, what are your thoughts, boys? Come in here as well. Nix, I'll come to you in terms of RR. Like it? Yes or no?
It's an overall setup. Yeah, you feel so. In terms of the people that they already had, they had a packed batting order. They've got Nitish Rana, who I don't think I saw coming there. I expected RCB to really go after him, given that they had already gone for Venki in when he came on. So I think that way their top order was sorted. You have Jaiswal and probably Samson opening now, given that it also boosts his India chances. Hill continues there. You have Rana there, and then you have Parag, Jurel, and Hetmyer playing there. What I really feel very interested by is the number of overseas spinners that they've gotten. They've gotten Thikshana Hasaranga because Chahal and Ashwin have gone off. What I really don't know is, can they afford to play all 3 of them in every game? They've got back Shubham Dubey, who they had last year as well as their finisher. So that is good. And they have Vanindu Hasaranga. So I'm not too sure of their spin reserves, that if they can afford to play every one of those in every game. So that is something that I'm looking forward to. In terms of with the ball, they've backed up Bolt. I mean, they've replaced Bolt with Farooqi. So you can assume him to take the new ball if they want to play him that way. But that makes even you question that who will be the spinner then. So because Archer is definitely playing. So Hetmeyer, Archer, one of Vanindu Thikshana, they are definitely playing. So can they play Fazal? Can they play the extra spinner? I think there is some doubt for me there.
Okay, interesting. Before I get Akshay's thoughts about Rajasthan Royals, guys, any RR fans in the house, Super Royals, all you boys, get your comments in right now because we're going to just talk about them and also construct a possibly good 11. Essentially, I know we've all kind of been preempting this permutations, combinations, but now with Dan in the house, I think we can have that expert touch on it as well. My quick 2 pence on RR, Akshay, before you just have your say. Like we were discussing in the watch along, top 5 are potentially all the Indian big boys, right? Your Jaiswal, your Samson. Now they got Rana there. They have Parag and Jurel, like you mentioned. And then it's that Hetmeyer, Hasaranga. Are you playing Tiksana in a ground like Sabai Mansingh? Only time will tell. They did do some business just now, the 13-year-old, which comes to mind. And then you look at even some of the bowling resources that they have in Tushar Deshpande, Akash Madwal. Can you predict an RR11 now compared to the last 2 hours ago, like we were doing it in the watch along?
Yeah, to be honest, most of the 11 picks itself, and I actually don't know why people aren't rating RR enough. I do think they've done a fairly decent job. If anything, I actually felt that they messed up their retentions a bit. I really thought they should have retained Butler ahead of Hetmeyer. That's where I felt they were already hamstrung in terms of missing out on someone as key as Butler. And I don't think Hetmeyer would have fetched 11 crores. Might be wrong, of course. That's just conjecture at this point in time. But having already done that, they enter the auction with about 45 crores. So now, as things stand, Nitish Rana, today morning, I remember having a chat with one of our colleagues. I said, Nitish Rana, RCB will be looking for him, but I'm pretty sure MI or RR will also be bidding on the other end. And it was RR, of course. A very value buy for them, 4.2 crores. I don't think is very expensive considering the value he'll be adding there. So Jaiswal, Samson opens. Samson, I'm guessing, will be opening for them, given that he's also opening for India. He scored 2 tons in that India-South Africa series. I'm expecting him to want to hold on to that position at the IPL as well. So Jaiswal, Samson open. Rana at number 3, Parag, Jurel, number 4, number 5, Hetmeyer, number 6. That's your top 6 there. Now, in the last auction cycle, what we saw with RR was they struggled with that number 7, number 8 slot. They did not have, a good enough all-rounder. They brought in Daryl Mitchell, Jimmy Neesham, Nathan Coulton. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting more. Jason Holder. They tried a bunch of options. None of them really worked. Now I feel with Vanindu Hasaranga at number 7, I'm not saying they've sorted it out, but he's a much better option. He gives them a lot more flexibility over there. He is, I wouldn't say the best hitter out there, but he's one of those who can chip a few, get a couple of boundaries, can score a handy 8 ball 15 if needed. And Savai Mansingh Stadium is the kind of venue for him, but the boundaries are bigger. The square boundaries, in fact, are much bigger. So he can take those doubles. He's a gun fielder, make no mistake. His bowling will come in handy for sure. So I like the look of it. Number 7, Vanindu. Number 8, Jofra Archer. We've seen it before for RR itself. He can hit those sixes. Yeah, he can use the long handle very well. So I don't mind Jofra at number 8. I have Tikshna at number 9. I'm not really looking at his batting value, but he does offer a fair bit with the ball. I know his fielding is still very sus, but okay, I'd still live with it. Considering that their top 5 is all Indian, and that's a luxury that not a lot of teams have, they can afford to go with, Mahesh Tikshna at number 9. Number 10, number 11, I've gone ahead with Tushar Deshpande. And of course, they have Sandeep Sharma as well as their impact player. But for number 11, I've not gone with Akash Madwal. I've gone with Yudhvir Singh Charak. He's a player I'm really looking forward to. He played a
But
couple
don't
of
you
games.
think he bat higher up? Like he actually has a tendency to also bat well, right?
Who? Tushar Deshpande?
No, usually it's Charak.
No, Yudhvir Singh Charak is at domestic level, he bats at about number 8, number 7. So we don't need to really look at those numbers. As a bowler, he offers something very unique. He's a tall, lanky fellow. He's got a high arm release as well. If you remember a couple of games that he played for LSG in 2023, he's got a good Yorker from there. Like it's not something we see often with Indians. He's very tall. He's about 6'4", 6'5", if I'm not wrong. So I like the look of it. He'll add a different dimension to the RR bowling attack. I wouldn't necessarily go with Madwal. And then, of course, Sandeep Sharma as the impact player. So you've got new ball value. Then there's Jofra at the dead. There's Yudhvir Singh Charak who can offer decentish face coverage. There's Vanindu. There's also Mahesh Tikshna. All in all, I would say not a bad set of 12 players. Of course, there are equally good other sets of 12 that other teams have composed. But all in all, I wouldn't say this is the worst. They've definitely done a decent job. And they're not as bad as some people are making them out to be.
So I'm going to ask all you guys this, including Dan. How much do you guys rate RR's business today? So give me a number on 10 and give me hypothetically where they'll finish on the table. I know it's still early days and stuff like that, but just based on what's on paper right now. Akshay, with you really quickly because you just finished your synopsis. On 10, how much would you rate their business and where will they finish?
I mean, it's hard because I would say about 8.25. I'll go very precise.
8.25 on 10, and where will they finish?
Oh man, that's really tricky. I'm just trying to think of all the other sides and also keep my RCB bias in check. I'll say number 4, number 5, somewhere there. 4 or 5. 5. I'll go with top 5, not top 4. Not top 4.
Okay, Dan, he's gone for an 8.2 rating for RR in terms of their auction business and top 4 finish potentially. Do you echo those thoughts?
No, I actually am a bit split with RR. So I agree on that sort of 4th, 5th place kind of finishing position seems about logical. You know, fighting one of those teams who've got a decent chance of fighting for qualification. I have a few reservations with their business. I think that they're maybe their first 8, 9 players are really strong, but I think they struggled after that a little bit. I think they're going to be a team that really needs to get their first 11 or first 12 out as often as possible. I'm a little bit concerned about potentially if they lose early wickets, could they have a pedestrian kind of middle order a little bit? I didn't, as others have mentioned, I didn't like the Hetmeyer retention, and the Jarrell retention was overpriced as well. Hassaranga's a nice pickup if he's fit and playing well. Apart from Archer, I mean, I don't quite rate Archer as much more than a 9 right now. But as a if you're looking at his batting position, I mean, but all of their other bowlers really are like 10s and 11s, and I think maybe we've spoken about their struggles with balance a little bit, and that sort of all-rounder position. I just really would have liked to see them pick up another bowler who bats a bit for that balance, and otherwise they're going to have to pick 5 bowlers like a Hasaranga, Archer, Tikshana, Sandeep Sharma, and maybe a Deshpande, and the batting falls away really, really quickly. And even with an impact sub as well, I think that's pretty tricky. I think you'd want to have a little bit more than that. So look, but the good thing for them is obviously with Jaiswal, with Samson, Parag now coming through really, really nicely as well, is that their retentions were the players that they retained are good players, so they can afford to have a reasonably poor auction and still be in the frame for qualification. They've still got 8 slots left, I think, and they've only got 2.4 crore to spend, so they really are fighting in the bargain basement now to even get a squad together. Look, I think they're up there as a competitor, but I just think they could have done a much better job, and spending. They've overspent a little bit on some players, and it's really come to bite them towards this back end of the auction.
So how much are you giving them in terms of numbers? Come on.
Out of 10 for their auction performance, 4.5.
Lovely. And do they make the top 4?
Fighting one of those teams that I think are fighting for 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of thing. So they've got a chance.
Okay, interesting. Despite the shambles that they've done in Jeddah, you still reckon a top 4. Nick, your rating and your prediction for RR's finish, sir.
Yeah, I think they'll just miss out on the playoff purely from the point of that the depth that they don't have, and it's the depth that they don't have with both bat and ball. So that's where I feel they'll probably struggle. The players are okay. I mean, Dan is the divide is such that one is gone for 8 and the other is gone for 4. So it's a split up. In that sense, I would just be neutral and give them 5. From the point of view that they knew they had to take an all-rounder, but still they have not gone on and done that. But what I still feel is every time they've picked an all-rounder very late in the auction, whether it was Corbin Bosch, Jason Holder, Jimmy Neesham, it's always been the last guy. I remember they picked Joe Root also, if I'm not wrong, in an accelerated auction, very end. So maybe that is something that may come up now, but they don't have the money for that. So it'll have to be a really specific pick for them to come good. So similar thoughts, probably 5th or 6th. It will need Sanju and Jaiswal to do a lot of deep batting for them to overcome their batting boost. So if they do that, then maybe they'll qualify, but otherwise, I don't think so.
And they still have 3 overseas slots remaining, by the way. So yeah, really impressive.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. So that was a RR wrap. We're going to steam on to the next 9 teams, but keep your comments coming through. Lots of you guys saying everything. Santosh Sharpa had this to say, not making top 7, he reckons. RR, Ramna Kiran appreciating Dan, saying, great to see you exposing SRH here. We'll come on to them in just a bit. And Aman, I was echoing the same thoughts just a matter of moments ago. And Siddharth had this to say about Archer still having an issue with his action. Thought it's worth mentioning. A lot of stress still because of a lot of follow through. Remember how these guys will cope up, building and leading up to the tournament is also something noteworthy. Let's move on to the next team then. And I want to go geographically close. So I'll go Gujarat Titans, boys. How's that? Because I think they're playing in Cape Town, correct, Dan? By the looks of their business.
Well, with Kakisa Rabada, Gerald Coetzee, yeah, they got a couple of South Africans.
Siraj, Prasidh Krishna. It's just a joke of how many paces they've got.
I think that pace wise they've done really nicely actually, and I think that you can see they've looked to kind of construct that bowling strong team that tends to do pretty well in franchise T20 tournaments, and the IPL will be no different with that. And actually, you know, they might even have problems fitting in all of their bowling options. They might even have a problem fitting in a Sundar or a Saiki Shaw or someone. I mean, I really wanted to see Saiki Shaw go to a different franchise and play game in, game out, and that's a real pity for me that he might not ever get that opportunity in this next cycle again. I think one of the biggest, and not at all down to his fault, one of the biggest wasted talents in the IPL over the last 5 years in terms of the game time that he's been able to get. So yeah, GT, I think the GT have been pretty astute. I still have a bit of a problem with their sort of 4, 5, 6 positions. I'm not sold on that at all. So they're going to need to have a good start from the likes of Gill and Sai Sudarshan and Josh Butler. But following that, those players can all take their time when they want to get going. They needed to pick up a couple of players who can then really provide them with some impetus in the middle overs and towards the early death overs, and they haven't really done that. They're going to need Rahul Tewatia and Rashid Khan to bail them out of a lot of situations with some death hitting. That's what they've done in the past, though. So they could do it again.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that GT squad right now on paper, it spells of utility players. I mean, you could say the same thing about CSK, but these two teams largely look at all-rounders. They have Akshay, Nix, and Dan as well. Rashid Khan, Rahul Tewatia, Shah Rukh Khan, Nishant Sandhu, Sai Kishore, if you want to throw him in there. Gerald Coetzee is no mug with a bat. Jayant Yadav, who they've had before. Arshad Khan, Shafin Rutherford, good business. Someone that Akshay wanted for RCB. Mahipal Lomror, again, a steal. And Washington Sundar, another steal. So, again, Dan mentioned it, Nix, the fact that the problem with 4, 5, 6, is it a problem of plenty according to you as well? And do you automatically have your set 11 when we talk about GT?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I feel a lot of teams have this issue in this auction that the lower order seems very, very brittle in terms of it could be blown away and there aren't enough quality people that you can say that these are tried and tested options and we can go ahead and pick them. So again, Rutherford is a good name, but in IPL, he's not always been trusted that much to give you those returns immediately. And you see Butler and Rashid are the two guys that will definitely start. And you think Rabada is also another one who you think should start in most games. So what I feel is it's not just the 4, 5, 6, but even the end overs for me. Because you look at the number of pacers that they've picked, I don't know if I can pick one guy who would be excellent at the end overs. Someone who can really bowl the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in under pressure. So, and Rashid's returns have not always been good. Noor at times outbowled him as well. So the returns there, it will mean a lot of pressure on somebody like a Siraj and others to really strike hard in the power play. Because otherwise, if they go for runs, I feel all of these are very high variance bowlers. You look at Siraj, you look at Kagiso, Gerald Coetzee. When they travel, they have very, very, very bad off days. So that is also a place where I felt they haven't got anybody to cover that up. Not even one option. And again, see, Siraj outside of Chinnaswamy, he has decent numbers in Chinnaswamy also, but it may not always turn out to be something that he can execute well. So I think it's leaving a lot to chance in terms of, yes, Ahmedabad is a big ground and Mohit Sharma did a great job for them. But who do they have earmarked that this is the guy who will do the job for us? So I feel not just the middle order. I think in terms of the bowling options, it is good when there is something for the bowlers. But otherwise, I feel even the end overs bowling is very, very difficult to nail for them.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, like you mentioned, the conditions there, big ground, they'll get away with it. Also, the fact that Nehra could take these Indian youngsters under his wing and get the best out of someone like Siraj, maybe Prasid, Ishant, of course, there as well. Akshay, can you construct a Gujarat 11 for me? Because you can tell me on paper, certainly it'll be Gill, Butler, Size at top three. Gill to captain, we know that. What are the other certainties in this starting 11 for you?
I mean, most of the business was done yesterday. And before I get to the 11 as well, in terms of my thoughts on the team, I just feel that the pace attack is very one-dimensional. Kakisor Rabada, Mohammad Siraj, Prasid Krishna, they all are very similar in terms of, what their strengths are. They are, they like to hit hard lanes. They're one of those who, they extract good seam movement. They're not necessarily swing bowlers. That way, there's not a lot of variety in their pace attack. And same is the case with the spinners. We know that they are going to overly rely on Rashid Khan. Washington Sundar, that way, is a good addition, but it also means that he'll be batting higher up in the Gujarat lineup. And I'm not sure if Washi's batting in the T20 format is there right now. Coming to the 11, of course, like you said, top three picks itself with his Gill, Butler, and Sai Sudarshan. Number 4 is going to be Shah Rukh Khan, only because Ashish Nehra did give him that promotion in the last couple of games in 2024. He did do well, and he spoke about how Shah Rukh, given a long run at number 4, can do well. So I'm expecting them to do that. They won't be force-fitting him into the finisher's role. So number 4 is going to be Shah Rukh Khan. Number 5, I have Rutherford. Number 6 is going to be Washington Sundar. Number 7 is going to be Rahul Tewatia. Number 8, Rashid Khan. And then 9, 10, 11 will be Rabada. Sorry, number 9 is Rashid Khan. 10, 11 will be Rabada and Siraj. Impact player Prasid Krishna. So these are the 12 players I've gone for. Sorry, beg your pardon, 11 players I've gone for. And then plus impact player pay, I'm guessing Sai Kishore will be the 12th one that they bring in, 12th option that they go for. All in all, not too bad once again. But I guess that's a feature of most sides. This
No, but how much would you rate their business? Sorry, this on 10.
They're definitely below RR for me. So given that I've given RR 8.25, I'll probably say I'll give them about 7.25.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. In terms of RR, I didn't give a rating. I think I'd give them a 6.2. Not really impressed with them. And GT 5.7 for me. Akshay, where do you think they'll finish? Gujarat Titans. I don't see them making top 8, bro, in a 10-team tournament.
Top 8. Oh, wow. Okay, I'll say bottom 4. It's a bottom 4 finish for them. I don't think outside Ahmedabad, though, I really don't know where are they going to not just get their runs from. Where are they going to get their wickets from? Bhai, matlab, at Chinnaswamy, if a side like this is not at its best, they can very easily concede 260, 270 and not even look back. So it'll be difficult. They are very high variance, like Nikhil Bhai mentioned. So I'll say bottom 4.
Okay, interesting. Nikhil and Dan, I'll get your thoughts in just a bit, because Sanjay Papigiri saying flat surfaces is going to be a problem for GT with the bat, according to me. Places like Wankhede, Chinnaswamy, Eden, Hyderabad, Malampur, Kotla, the ball could travel going by recent games. And Akshay also made a very good point, the fact that it's kind of one-dimensional, this attack. Next, on to your rating in terms of Gujarat's auction business and where they'll finish, and then we'll finish up with Dan.
Yeah, I agree with Akshay. Difficult for them to finish there unless Nehraji has some magic wand that he waves over them and they go on and play the final like they did in the first edition that they played. So similar number, I think probably 7th or 8th. And rating, it's difficult. I think 6 is something that you can give them for the good pacers that they have. So if they can use them well, maybe who knows.
So where do you think they'll end?
7th or 8th, and
the
6.
Yeah. Okay, super. Love that. Dan, will you be nice to Gujarat, or are we all going to be hammer and tongs, full house?
No, I'm a little bit going to be a little bit more kinder than everybody else at the moment. In that, I think that they've got a stronger bowling attack than batting attack for me, and that for me is, if you're going to be stronger or weaker in one way or the other, it would be I'd rather have that stronger bowling attack. They've got an okay amount of depth as well, and look, I'm not unconvinced. They're also, as a franchise, since they debuted in 2022, they've been a team that I think has performed above the sum of their parts fairly consistently, and I can see that happening again. I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10 for their auction, and I'm going to say that they're going to come around about 5th.
Round about 5th, okay. Just flirting with top 4 then for Dan in terms of GT. Right, let's talk about Akshay's team RCB, because right now as we speak, they pocketed DDP back in the Chinnaswamy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Top order left-hander Akshay. Is that someone that you were kind of penciling in, even as backups?
Backups for sure. I don't see him starting, and he shouldn't be batting at number 3. I've made that very clear time and time again. He's an opener, and that's his role. He cannot be batting at number 3. Happy to see him come back home. Backup option in case things don't work out or someone's injured or something. But yeah, all in all, in terms of RCB, I for one, I don't know if it's because of my bias or what's the scene, but I don't think RCB have done as badly as some of them have made it out to be. I really think they've been smart. Of course, there have been a few exceptions to that as well in terms of the Venki Iyer buy, and I also felt Chahal was a tad too expensive for RCB to try and bid. But apart from that, all in all, in terms of the kind of options they went for, I could see what the thought process was. Mo Bobat has always been clear about the fact that they want to build a batting lineup that can actually blow teams out of the game. So that was their thought process last time around as well, with Livingston, with the addition of Livingston, Will Jacks, and of course Jitesh Sharma as well. You can see why not Will Jacks, Phil Salt, beg your pardon. You can see why they've done that. And the bowling is something I'm very happy with. It is Josh Hazlewood, Yash Dayal. Raseek Dar is an uncapped Indian bowler, but he's someone I rate very highly. I've been speaking about him time and time again across previous MNL episodes. And then there's, of course, also Bhuvneshwar Kumar, the experience of Bhuvneshwar Kumar. All in all, of course, batting depth is going to be something they would be worried with, like most teams. But oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Ramana, sure. Okay, I love that. I take that happily. Spinners is where I felt they are probably slightly weak right now. Not slightly, they are fairly weak. I personally don't rate Suyash Sharma very highly. In the recently concluded Delhi Premier League as well, he was bowling half trackers, left, right, and center. He just had no control over his deliveries, and even he did not get a lot of game time in IPL 2024. So him being our lead spinner does not sit well with me. I really hope they still go for someone else, except that there aren't too many options available. Zishan Ansari was someone I hoped they went for. Digvej Singh Rathi was someone I hoped they went for. Vipraj Nigam was someone I hoped they went for. All three were picked by other sides. Jatalit Subramaniam is still up for grabs. I really hope they do go for him. So that way, in terms of spin, Krunal Pandya, Livingston, Suyash Sharma is not the greatest, but given how Chinnaswamy functions, there are very few spinners who can actually add value. Like Chahal was one of those rare bowlers, so I'm not complaining. All in all, in terms of their batting, I really like the batting. I really like the bowling. It's the bridge in between that where sort of there seems to be an issue. We've got solid batting till about number 7. Krunal Pandya comes in at number 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, they've got Raseek Dar, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Josh Hazlewood, and Yash Dayal. Not sure how that's going to function, so the batters will have to ensure that they get the runs more often than not. All in all, trying to keep my bias aside, I would probably give them an 8.5. I still think they are marginally better than RR, especially given that they've got solid options in both departments. And I would say they will finish top 4. So yeah, this is my initial thoughts on RCB.
Okay, interesting. Remember, they finished top 4 last year without a proper spinner. Karan Sharma, Mayank Dagar comes to mind. And of course, Maxi was doing a lot of bowling as well over there. Keep giving us auction updates. I know there's a lot of names coming back in terms of the accelerated process. Glenn Phillips, I think, is right now. And Gujarat have got Glenn Phillips. That's a solid buy. So Sagnik, Sachin, Santosh, please give us all the updates that we need, because of course this is happening live during the Monday Night Live pod. Dan, on to you with RCB then, because I genuinely feel they are going to be finishing top 4, potentially win it, but that's just me being the silly fanboy. Can you give RCB fans hope watching this?
Yeah, I definitely could actually. I'm a bit surprised about how much negative publicity they've got over the last 2 days on social media. I think that they got a lot of flack for not buying KL Rahul and pulling out of Venkatesh Iyer, etc. And actually, I actually back the franchise completely on both of those selections, or lack of selections, I should say. I think they got very lucky swerving Venkatesh Iyer at such a big price, and they wouldn't have been able to do the work they have done if they had picked him up. And secondly, with the KL Rahul pick, I just don't see him as a player who can bat with Kohli at the Chinnaswamy in this modern impact sub kind of phase that we're in at the IPL, where the par is just so much higher. And for me, there was no real need for them to participate in any fight for KL Rahul as well, and he would have been better off, I think, at another franchise. So for me, like, I didn't understand this negativity towards RCB. I think they've been pretty prudent, actually. I think they've definitely improved a lot in terms of their depth and have covered some bases. Now Padikkal fits that left-hander need that they've got. Obviously, Jacob Bethel does that too if they use him as a little bit lower down, like a 5 or something like that. Obviously, they picked up Liam Livingstone, who since the summer, the sort of July time has batted really, really well. And Phil Salt obviously in great form as well. So they're an English trio there. Livingstone and Salt know each other well from playing both for Lancashire in domestic cricket in England. Livingstone and Jacob Bethel know each other well from playing for Birmingham Phoenix for the last couple of years together as well. So there's and Tim David as well has been at Lancashire before too, is an overseas player. So there's a lot of kind of all the overseas players kind of know each other pretty well in that sense. So I think that will help in terms of hitting the ground running. I think that they've probably overpaid for a couple of players, like a Jitesh maybe a little bit with that right to match cost. But I think overall they've done pretty well. I really like the Rasik Salam pickup as well. I think he was a player that I really, really looked to have a big impact over this next cycle. I think he's definitely.
Sorry, Dan, they've got another one right now. RCB, Swastik Chikara.
So obviously now they're just trying to pick up squad players as well, and I think they've got an all right backup squad. I think that overseas wise they've done okay with, Tim David might not even get in the team, but that's fine. And Tashara might not get in the team, but that's fine. Same with Romario Shepherd. The only thing I kind of think is maybe they might look to try and pick up another overseas player who bats a bit but is a frontline bowler. That is an Andy Flower archetype that he loves to pick up, and they've already got one in that Romario Shepherd kind of bracket. But I think that he might want a 4-over bowler who bats a bit. He not that he's not this exact player now, but he likes that sort of Daniel Sams type player, someone who he can rely on to give contributions with both bat and ball. And I think that maybe they could look to do that with the bad form recently of Jitesh in the IPL, and Krunal Pandya not being as prolific a hitter as he perhaps could have been in the past. So and then maybe a lot of sort of number 10s with the bat as well in terms of their bowling group. So actually, yeah, they could probably look to pick up one other bowler who bats to really round off it. Maybe another left-hander, but I think we're getting there now with RCB.
Okay, I'm guessing Nikhil Autry probably has 11 for RCB, which I'll come to. But I just want to ask Dan one more question about RCB. Any players you feel slipped through the net? Because as fans, many people are saying Natarajan should have been kind of pouched. Manohar should have been pouched. They didn't even make a move for Jansen. They didn't make a move for other players who were kind of good fits. Do you think they'll probably regret anyone? Venki Iyer, they went for over 20 crores for him. Dan, can you make sense of that?
Well, there is no sense for that. I don't understand it at all, because I'm trying to work out, and I asked everyone this on Twitter yesterday, was if you're paying like 23, 24 crore for an all-rounder, what performance level do you have to get out of that player for that to represent reasonable value for money? And the consensus was kind of 400 or 500 runs and maybe a strike rate of 150 with 15 wickets, and I just don't see that as being anywhere near likely for Venki Iyer. So I think RCB definitely dodged one there. But could they have picked up? We talk about the players that Flower likes earlier, just like those sort of bowlers who bat, a Sam Curran, a Jamie Overton, both ended up at CSK. Obviously, they lost out on the Will Will Jack's right to match as well, which I was pretty surprised about. Like I said earlier, they lost Topley as well, who's now at MI. There was a few options they could have bought back from their existing squad, and they haven't. Look, I'm still pretty okay with what they've done. I have them as maybe third, fourth, probably around about that sort of area.
Lovely. And their auction business is good, I take it.
Yeah, pretty good. I actually think they dodged a lot and avoided by the luck or judgment some of the traps that were in the first couple of sets as well. So yeah, I'm going to give them an 8.
Okay, super. Nikhil, on to you and RCB then, because, bro, I mean, look, we can banter each other because you're a CSK fan, RCB fan, but how much are you kind of fearful, if that's the right word to use, as an opposition fan about RCB? Or again, you're not worried because, okay, good players, but not threatening?
Yeah, I will be honest. I don't think you'll be fearful of that lineup because agree with most points made, but there are still six right-handers in that top 6. Slow left arm has bothered most of them, so that is something that can again come back to bite them. But Salt, I think, is a very key player for them. He's the guy who can then allow Virat to bat at the rate he wants to. So that is, I think, a good purchase for them. So if you look at the 11, I think the 11 goes like Kohli, Salt. I don't know if they can fit in Bethel because I generally feel they will need somebody to hit pace down the order because you have Patidar at 4, Livingston at 5, Jitesh and Krunal and Swapnil, if that is the order to follow, or even if it's Manoj Bandage, it is very untested. Jitesh has lost form. Krunal isn't the hitter that he was. And then even if it is Manoj Bandage or anybody else at that spot, it is probably an area that teams can exploit, that if we go and get these top 2 guys early, there is a very brittle middle order which relies heavily on Livingston. So I think that's where maybe they might have to compromise with Bethel and play somebody like a Tim David there so that there is depth there. And if they get a good start, Tim David is someone who can still come out and finish well. So I think if they make that change there, maybe they'll end up probably in a better space. With the bowling, I already said I think Krunal is a good buy. A defensive option that they want at the Chennai. Bowley with the new ball, Dayal with the new ball, and you have Hazelwood to hit those lengths, when they want to. So I think overall, I agree with Dan in terms of I think they were very specific in who they wanted to go with. Definitely dodged the very big Venki Iyer bullet because had they done that, this would have been equivalent to the Pat Cummins bid that they had last year, where most of the budget would have been gone on one player and you wouldn't have been able to use him well. So well done on that. Still don't think I'm as fearful of it, but yeah, probably 7 in terms of rating because I think Liam was a very good buy at that rate personally. And Salt, I mean, you had to spend for Salt because you want an intent guy right up top to set the tone for you. So good auction in that way. Very clear minds. 7 as a rating, and you knocked us out last year. I hope we do that. We return the favor this year.
Oh, it'll be fucking fabulous if we do get into that position again. But appreciate all your thoughts, right? And like this particular video because right now I know people are going AWOL in the chat about Arjun Tendulkar going unsold. We'll come to Mumbai. I will come to CSK in a bit. I promise we'll do one more team before we get to the El Clasico teams. But that was Bangalore for us. And again, permutation combination. You guys can check out all the stuff and let us know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with us. Right, on to Sunrisers Hyderabad because they were the finalists. They got some stellar buys. And what do you guys feel? I just want to start with Dan here because I think Ramna Kiran earlier said expose the Sunrisers. They don't have a proper number 7. But look, if you look at that team on paper, Dan, does that give you some sort of conviction saying, hello, it could be another final here. Hello, it could be another final and more here. How do you rate them?
Yeah, I agree that they don't have a proper number 7, but I think in this impact sub era, you can maybe get away with it. Certainly with the Cummins, an 8 with it. If they have an impact sub batter coming in, Harshal and Rahul Chahar both kind of 9s, really, you would say. So they they do have just about enough. And I think that with their retentions, they were always going to be fighting for scraps at this auction. With I think they had 45 crore left to spend after the retentions. And obviously with Head and Abhishek and Klaassen and Nitish Kumar Reddy, and Cummins. They have really had the core of their squad already. I think they've done some pretty decent business. I was surprised they managed to find the money for Ish and Kishan, but I think that's a really nice piece of business. And getting Harshal Patel and Mohammad Shami as proven wicket takers at this level, especially if Shami's fit, which we're not quite sure about yet, so there's a little bit of a risk. Adam Zampa has been fantastic in the last year or two as well. Maybe might buck the trend of an overseas spinner doing well in the IPL, which we haven't seen that many of over recent years. So that kind of rounds off what I think maybe an 11 will be, with Abhinav Manohar fitting in probably around that number 5 mark as well.
Where is Ishan Kishan bat for you? Sorry, where is Ishan Kishan bat for you, Dan?
Probably 3, but then you've got a real problem of a lot of left-handers at the top of the order, which, look, I'd rather have a lot of left-handers than a lot of right-handers, but I still accept that leaves them vulnerable to maybe some matchups. I do think that having especially Abhishek Sharma as a fantastic player of spin, that does negate those issues a little bit, and actually, if teams look to go off spinner heavy against the Sunrisers top 3, which doesn't always happen that much in the IPL. A lot of teams are quite reticent to bowl spin in the power play. I think they can still overcome that, but I accept that that's maybe a tactical area that someone's going to try and exploit SRH with. It was really interesting as well to see that they've gone back to a couple of sort of lower profile Sri Lankans after they did that last year with the spinner, with the Muralitharan influence potentially with the young pacer Ishan Malinga and also Kaminde Mendis coming in as a batting backup as well. I don't really expect either of them to feature particularly prominently, but it's interesting that they've looked to try and find a couple of players to invest in. They've also brought in Bryden Cast from England as well. I don't expect him to play much unless but I suppose they would look at him as that direct replacement for Cummins if there was a problem with him.
Yeah, because Akshay, I want to ask you about SRH, bro, because Dan has kind of made some really good points about them right now and addressed that number 7 position. But your man Zishan Ansari, your man Abhinav Manohar, your man Ishan Malinga, all these names that you actually wanted to see, maybe in RCB colours, have now gone to SRH. Your man Jaydev Anatkar as well. Okay, no, that's tongue in cheek. But look, essentially they have him, they have Simarjeet, they have Shami, they have Harshal, different crafty bowlers in their own right. But they're known for their batting because of last year. So how do you marry it all together? And what is Dan Vittori going to do as a coach?
In terms of batting, Ishan Kishan is an interesting addition. I don't see him batting in number 3 simply because that would mean, you're messing up Nitish Kumar, Onderklassen, and of course, eventually everyone's entry points. I would want to ensure that they are being taken care of. Last year, their top 4 looked something like Head, Abhishek, Nitish, and then Klassen. I would expect them to sort of stick to that. I would want to see SRH try Ishan Kishan at number 5 because that's where he thrived. Number 4, number 5 for Mumbai in the 2020 season, where Mumbai really was just dominating every side in the IPL. It was Ishan Kishan at number 5 that worked for MI, and I want to see him come back to that role. I think he can do that, and it'll also add a lot of value to SRH as well. 2 left-handers at the top, and then the 2 right-handers, and then Ishan Kishan coming in at number 5, followed by Pat Cummins, and all of that. I feel it'll add a nice little mix of left-handers and right-handers. So that's where I think they'll fit in Ishan at number 5, Abhinav at number 6. Potentially Pat Cummins at number 7. I don't think Pat Cummins is too bad at number 7. Yeah, make no mistake, he still holds a record for having the joint fastest 50 in the history of IPL, and he did that against the likes of Bumrah. So he can handle himself. I'm not too worried about it. So I would want to see. What I want to see is, do they really stick to Adam Zampa, which I don't think they have to, at least to begin with. I know Adam Zampa is a much better wrist spinner than Rahul Chahar, but simply because of the fact that Rahul Chahar is an Indian, and I'd much rather use that overseas spot elsewhere. And to be precise, I don't think I'm not very confident of Mohammad Shami. I've been clear. I've made that clear even during our watch along. He's fresh out of an injury. He's 34 now, at least on paper. He's not really getting any younger. And on top of that, he's in the recent games that he played, he was clocking about 120, 125. It'll take him some time. I'm not saying that he won't get back to rhythm, but that's still a bit of risk. Given the fact that he will be playing the games at a stadium where the average score was about 220, 230, SRH wouldn't want to take. I mean, if I were a part of SRH, I wouldn't be taking that big a risk. Harshal Patel is a great addition to the side. SRH were losing bidders for Harshal Patel in the last mini auction and the last mega auction as well. So clearly, they've always rated him highly. Good to see them get him. 8 crores is not too bad a buy. Simarjeet Singh is someone I'm looking forward to. Yaar. Unfortunately, CSK, he did not get a lot of opportunities at CSK, was also injured for a couple of seasons, so wasn't really available for them. This time around, he is available. He's had a cracking DPL, a skiddy customer, bowls quick. He's got a very good yorker. I'm expecting him to do well. So if anything, this is probably a bold call. I'm expecting at some part of the season, potentially not 25, maybe 26 even, Simarjeet to replace Shami in the 11 itself. So SRH that way, not bad, not too bad, but the bowling is still very mid. They've got a lot of options. That
I'm just going to ask you that. Sorry, I'm just going to ask you that. Last year or this year, what attack do you think is good? Or is it an upgrade, a downgrade? Because they lost Nattu, they lost Bhuvi, but they've got Shami.
It's a downgrade.
Shami, Harshal.
No, the moment you said Nattu, it's a downgrade. I'm sorry. Bhuvi, Nattu, both. If you ask me Bhuvi and Nattu or Shami and Harshal, I would say Bhuvi and Nattu. Simple.
Okay, fair enough. In the interest of time, then, how much do you think they've done in terms of the auction, in terms of points on 10? 7.5 plus?
Yeah, I would still give them an 8. And the thing is, I'm still slightly inclined to believe that they will be able to carry that batting form from last year. It's a very high risk, high reward approach. But I just feel this time around, it might probably not come good. So I'll just say they probably finish 6th. And that's pretty much it for SRH.
Okay, interesting. There are lots of names added to their kitty right now. You guys can get all of it on cricket.com. They've got Sachin Baby as well, another name to enter their squad. Next, over to you then on SRH, because Ramna Kiran saying Victorian Core completely destroyed SRH's bowling identity. Speaking of identities, right, next, do you think the new players will just come in and buy the philosophy if the current players there, the current coach there, and everything will be just swimmingly all right?
I mean, in terms of the batting, you definitely feel so because the core is still the same. And I don't think you have to tell Ishan Kishan that you need to bat aggressively. He's more than happy to do that generally also. So I don't think it will be something that will be a bother. I agree with Ramana Kiran in the fact that 2016, you hear SRH and you feel they are a side that is setting the games up with the ball. This SRH clearly a side that is wanting to outbat teams and then have a bowling attack that can just defend them somehow. So I think that is the kind of feeling that I get with this team, that they'll have to get those extra 20-30 runs everywhere so that they can give these guys the cushion. Because as Akshay pointed out, Harshal is a good buy. Shami, we don't know with the injury, we don't know which one turns up and how he will eventually go. So they'll have to outbat teams. I'm happy that they got Rahul Chair, but then you already have Adam Zappa, and I think Adam Zappa should start because he's one of those guys who will take a lot more wickets. And under Pat Cummins, I am generally hoping he's used also in the right way. So decent job in getting people. I don't know if there are people that they should have definitely bought back. Maybe Natarajan was the one guy I thought they could have and should have really gone after and kept him back, because otherwise it's an attack that can travel. So I just feel with SRH, they'll have to outbat teams. If they do that, great. If not, then good luck.
So Akshay said 6th. Are you going higher or lower?
No, pretty much same. I can't think of any name that was very obvious that they missed out apart from Natarajan and others. So I think probably around the same. And I think they might have a mean reversion of what they had last year. Very difficult to continue with that rate, and because now teams know. Maybe last year teams were caught by surprise. Now they'll be far more prepared for what is to come from them.
Okay, Dan, what was your SRH prediction in terms of where they'll finish?
Well, look, I'm more confident. I think that they really had a lot of constraints after spending so much with their retentions. To kind of 2/3 of their budget pretty much on retentions. They were always going to have to make compromises and scrap around. I think that they've made compromises on their bench probably primarily rather than their starting 11. If their first 11-ish is fit, they could beat anybody easily. The potential to beat anybody quite comfortably. I agree a little bit about the bowling identity question, and I think that they've maybe got a little bit of work to do. do they put Rahul Chahar and Adam Zampa in the same team? Maybe that's a question mark. But I think that given the circumstances that they're in, which I think was pretty much non-negotiable, like they're not going to want to let any of the players that they retain go back into the auction pool. I think they've done fine, and I expect them to come in the top 4.
Okay, top 4, love that. SRH fans, including Ramana Kiran, don't be so bemused at some selections. Just onwards and upwards, I guess. And remember, you guys made the finals, so just adding to what's already been a good squad. Right. Color, which color next? Or team, which team next? Any guesses, boys? Because I'm going down south to Chennai Super Kings next, because it is our in-house Nicky P's favorite team. And we'll start with Nick's, because he was lending his thoughts about CSK slightly earlier before Dan jumped on. But I want to know Nick's, they are the 9 teams. If you had to build a team for CSK at the final, and the final will be played at the Edens this year, I'm guessing, because of the champions. So what does that comprise of? Is Ashwin and Jadeja winning an IPL again in 2025?
You'll need some amount of juju there, whether you call it the MS juju or the Fleming Gaikwad jinx or whatever what you want to call it. I think this is a squad that is clearly built for home. And again, the assumption here will have to be that Chepak will turn. It hadn't turned in the last few seasons, and that is something you saw Marcus Stirling score a century there. And I say that with a lot of pinch of salt, pepper, and whatever you want to add there. Didn't go down well, but see, it is what it is. I think they've still done fairly okay with the bowling department, that they've gotten Anshul Kamboj to replace Deepak Chahar. They have Pathijana, who again at times hasn't been fit and can be high variance. So Nathan Ellis there, I feel, is a good backup to him. I still feel the big hole in the middle order is too big to fill, and they did not get that. I was very happy with Rahul Tripathi at 3. I think he was a great buy for them at that rate. Solved a lot of problem for them. They wanted somebody to replace the role that Rahane did, but the thing is, Rahane still hit pace and not spin. I think they have too many people who are easier to negate spin challenge with Shivam, Huda, Vijay Shankar, but with pace, I really don't see someone who stands out that. So I think they needed one guy in that middle order, not a Daryl Mitchell replacement, but somebody to take on pace bowling in the middle. Whether that is Indian or overseas, they could have picked there, and they haven't done that. So I think that is something they will really have to find a way to make Deepak Hooda turn into somebody who can hit pace and give Vijay Shankar that confidence that, go ahead and you can do it. So good squad for home, but slightly skeptical away from home.
Similar question to you, Nick, that I asked Akshay as a fan. Any particular player that you felt, we should have got him, like how we felt with Nattu and RCB or Abhinav Manohar, beg your pardon. CSK, did you feel like they missed out on someone personally that you wanted?
Again, Rutherford is one name that I was very keen on, purely on the basis can hit spin, can pick up pace well. Otherwise, I knew they would not go for him because it's not a Chennai thing. They rarely play an overseas batter in the middle order. It's always been an overseas all-rounder. So it was hoping against hope. So he's the one name that I thought they could take. Even had they got Liam Livingstone, I would have been very happy because he would have then solved the problems for me on multiple levels. Pace hitter, the guy who can bowl spin as well, that would be sorted. But they were not too keen on him.
Yeah, they went hard for Maxwell Stoinis, who eventually went to Punjab, but they got some good, clever buys in, and again, sticking to their ethos, which is backing their players. I want to hear from Dan and Akshay, and we'll get Nix's rating on CSK slightly later on in this discussion. Remember, you guys are beautiful in terms of viewing us on a Monday night. So like this video, all you boys and girls, 155 all of you all watching, about 400 across platforms. You have so many questions lined up for Dan and Akshay. And I want to get Dan's thoughts on CSK, and then Akshay can just think about his 11 that he wants to build, whether he has MS Dhoni or not, because he's apparently the biggest hater of MS Dhoni. Should I say that and throw you under the bus?
No, not at all.
Often. That's all.
No, not you, Dad. Not you. This man.
Right. Yeah.
This guy, he's a little
But to
hater.
be clear, I just don't want Dan to leave this episode thinking Akshay is an MSD hater. I'm not a big fan of his retention, but I'm not a hater. I admire him just as much as anyone else. But yeah, Dan, you can probably give your thoughts first before I go.
Yeah.
Look, I think that for that clear role that he has, he's still actually. I had a look at some really clear underlying data, and he plays pretty much the highest ultra aggressive shot percentage in the whole league. So for the kind of role that he plays, I don't mind it, and it's cheap as well. The 4 crore retention with the new rule. So yeah, I kind of get it. As regards to CSK and their business, I mean, I think that they've really probably got the most balanced squad out of all of the teams. They have got a lot of players back. They really value that loyalty and familiarity aspect, and they should be able to hit the ground running pretty well. I think Noor Ahmed is a really nice pickup. I think that he will wreak havoc at this support, and there is a lot to like about their squad. They could really go quite spin heavy with Ashwin, Jadeja, and Noor all in the same team. And then they've got some really nice backup players as well, with the likes of Sam Curran, not even necessarily guaranteed to get in the squad. Nathan Ellis, the hyped up Anshul Kambodge as well. They picked up on day 2. Jamie Overton. They've got some decent overseas backup as well. I think they've probably got sort of 17, 18 players that you look at them, and if they have to play, then you wouldn't be too concerned about it, which I don't think is something that you can say for that many of the other franchises. I have a rule as well where like you work out how many wins you think CSK are going to get out of the group stages, and you double it. That's my rule. I think even if you don't adopt that rule, they're going to be there or thereabouts. So I expect them to be fighting for qualification. Absolutely.
Okay, love that. And look, they missed out to a certain team last time to the top 4, but I'm not going to remind Nick of that because he made me think about it. It's only fair that I just rub it in as a RCB fan. But look, I absolutely love CSK. Yeah. Like what they've done, I've been crying out for that for RCB. Buy local players, make it more balanced. But the fact that it absolutely reeks of experience, that squad. Even if you look at Rahul Tripathi, you're talking about high pedigree in the IPL. Deepak Hooda, utility player. Jadeja, Ashwin, no introduction. You're talking about even youngsters that they picked out from, say, the TNPL, Akshay. You're talking about a guy now, Andres Siddharth. I think he's had a flying start in his first-class career. A CSG boy, Chepauk Super Gillies, and now to CSK. Riveting stories. So what's your takeaway from Chennai when you look back in the cold day of light? And again, does MS Dhoni start for you? Because obviously you think, Bhai, kelega kya? Sorry for my Hindi.
All right, thank you so much. To be clear, I've always maintained that as if I were a part of the CSK setup as their backroom staff, I would any day jump at the opportunity to retain MSD at 4 crores. Of course, MSD at 4 crores is not the issue. My concern was always, as MSD the player, is it fair? That was the whole argument. Anyways.
You just heard Dan. Dan just said he has the most. Dan, can you repeat that stat for all MS Dhoni fans?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he has like one of the highest ultra aggressive shot option percentages out of the whole league.
Yeah.
Dan, while we are at this, because we are speaking this, your honest thoughts on, so again, the bone of contention that Akshay had was, if you have someone who's just batting for 5-6 balls on an average, is it someone that you can build your team or give him a key role on?
No. I understand that, and a match involvement, which I look at, I call balls batted plus balls bowled, is gonna be pretty low for any player like that. You know, number 7 who doesn't bowl, obviously he's gonna be a wicket keeper, so there does have that utility there. But I think you could say that about a lot of players. You could definitely say that about Rutherford's, and if he doesn't bowl someone like a Ramandeep Singh or I'll just go through a bit of a list, really, of players. Tawatia, you could definitely say the same as well. Shah Rukh Khan as well, for sure. It definitely falls into that kind of bracket if he doesn't bowl, which he hasn't done that much in the IPL. So look, it's not a unique situation that teams are having in that type of player. I do think also with the impact sub, you have a little bit more luxury for that type of player as well. Certainly, if it was just the bare 11 players, you might take up more of an issue with it.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
So
since we
on
brought
to
this up,
you.
sorry, my concern, just to close this out, my concern wasn't with the fact that he's playing, that it wasn't just that. It was that it was very evident that his entry point was always 18th over or 19th over. All the other examples you mentioned, fair point. Of course, anyone batting lower down the order invariably is going to play fewer deliveries, which is fair. But if there is a collapse, Shah Rukh Khan batting at Rahul Tewatia batting at number 7 will bat at number 7, which wasn't happening with Dhoni. It was very evident. Early wickets fall, it was someone else being promoted ahead of Dhoni. So
He's maximizing the best
sure,
out of
okay.
his system.
Anyways, yeah, we'll save that for another day. Coming to CSK's 11, though, this is the 11 I've come up with. I don't, Nikhil Bhai can chip in.
With their latest buys, right? Sorry, with their latest buys, like with after Gurjapneet, after Shreyas Gopal and stuff.
Yeah, I'll include Shreyas Gopal, of course. Shreyas Gopal, how can I miss Shreyas Gopal? He's the premier leg spinner that CSK needed. But yeah, coming to the 11, I have Rutraj and Conway opening. I think Ravindra is more of a backup. I don't see him starting for them right now. Rahul Tripathi at number 3. I've penciled in Vijay Shankar at number 4, Shivam Dubey number 5, Ravindra Jadeja number 6. Now that Deepak Hooda's come in, I've replaced Vijay Shankar with Deepak Hooda at number 4. 5 Dubey, 6 Jadeja, 7 Dhoni, 8 Ashwin, or 8 Karan, 9 Ashwin, 10 Noor Ahmed, 11 Patirana, and impact player Khalil Ahmed. This is the 12 I've gone ahead with. Gurjapneet and all, given that Khalil Ahmed is there, I would imagine Khalil starts over Gurjapneet. Surely a great addition, but I think he'll still need some time, and IPL, it's not easy to directly make the jump, so I would imagine they'll still groom him and give him some time. So this is the 12 I've gone ahead with, and all in all, definitely not too bad. The batting looks more than decent. They've got enough. They've got a nice mix of right-handers and left-handers. There's decent batting depth. There's Sam Curran coming in at number 8, Ashwin at 9, Noor Ahmed at 10, who himself can bat. So that's not too bad. A very good spin attack, which is, given their home conditions, not too bad. Now, all I hope is they don't go to how Chepauk played last year. They should just stick to how Chepauk has played historically and not prepare flat tracks for the sake of it. It does not help their case. So all in all, yeah, no, not too bad at all. I do like the look of it, but I agree with Nikhil Bhai in terms of the lack of pace hitters. It's a middle order that can be tied down by, middle overs, enforcers, or pacers in general. So that is something that, again, to be honest, no team is built in a laboratory. This is an auction. Invariably, every team will have its share of flaws. That way, you can say CSK is one of those sides with the least number of flaws. So all in all, they've done a fairly good job, which is not something we can say often of CSK at the auction.
Okay, cool. So just start with your rating then, because I'll ask all three of y'all in terms of auction business. How much would you give them a 10, Akshay?
I'd say 8.75 and top 4 finish.
Okay, top 4 finish and 8.75. I echo those thoughts. I would say 9 and a top 3 finish for CSK, but we'll beat them in the final. Who knows? Nick, what's your rating for CSK?
Yeah, I'm again slight harsh on that fact that I wanted that pace hitter. I think Noor Ahmed might make up for it, but I'll still give them probably around 8. Probably one of those teams who have had the best auction because of the bases that they have covered and for the role clarity. Because that is something that you can assume with Chennai, that there'll not be a team who have people with muddled thought process about what is my role, where am I supposed to go. So 8.5 for 8 for that kind of aspect, and hopefully a top 2 finish and a good end up for Ashwin, Jadeja and MS together.
Yeah, that'll be beautiful. Regardless of me saying it as an RCB fan or cricket fans in general, those three have just been so much in terms of CSK in India personnel. It's great. Dan, on to you, your numbers, and then we'll move on to the next team.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for like around an 8 as well. I think we're all kind of in line with that, and an 8 for me is pretty generous. So I'm gonna, as in, yeah, I'd expect to give many teams an 8. So I'm happy with their business. I think CSK fans should be happy with their business too, and I definitely think that they're going to be among those teams towards the top of the table.
Okay, let's see how it pans out for the Yellow Army down south. I know the auction is still going on. Bear with us. Please like this video. I know lots of you guys are watching. There is a brilliant Hindi show lined up as well with Somesh Vikas and Nick's on its way after this as well. Next, which team should we do next? I'll let you go in terms of just choosing the next one, and then we'll give Akshay and then Dan choices with regards to the remaining teams. Do you want to go Mumbai?
Too much to discuss there. I want to go Lucknow because I really can't wait to hear Dan's thoughts on their selections.
Right, let's go Lucknow and in the Ikana then. Dan, over to you. Instantly, what are you thinking? LSG.
I really have a lot of issues with their recruitment, actually, and I probably consistently have over the last period of cycle. Really, I just don't really get it. Look, first of all, they've signed too many players who like playing in this batting in the same position. They've just literally bought in quite a rogue purchase, you would say, in Matthew Bretsky, the South African top order batter. But I think actually he might end up playing because otherwise they've not really got that many openers or any proven quality openers to play that role. They've got a lot of sort of 4-5s and stuff like that. What I would call like a lot of batters who want to bat in that particular role, and obviously they can't all do that. And the backup players that they've bought who potentially could you would look at them as potential first team options. They can't get in because they've got other players blocking them as well. So they're really weak in terms of their openers. They're another team who I think have got a lot of number 10s and 11s with their bowling, which could, even with an impact sub, is not going to be easy to balance. I think they overpaid for a few players. I still don't understand David Miller, who will be 36 at the start of, or towards the IPL next year. Over a 3-year cycle, I don't get it. I don't get Marsh. I don't get Markram at the moment either, really. I'm not really sold even on Shamar Joseph, who I think has got a lot to prove in the shortest format. They've redeemed themselves a little bit with a couple of young pickups right at the end. Arshin Kulkarni just recently is someone that I have high hopes for. But even with a Rishabh Pant, they spend a lot of money on him. Even with him in their team, Puran, I mean, those two are going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, and their bowlers are going to have to stay. Their pace bowlers are going to have to stay fit for them to have any realistic chance.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about it and joking with Akshay in the watch along throughout, saying left-handers union with Justin Langer there, Rishabh Pant, Nicky P, David Miller, the names go on. But just a quick word on you for Rishabh Pant, the most expensive man now on the planet in terms of IPL cricket, 27 crore. First of all, was that price vindicated according to you? And obviously only time will tell whether he'll be an upgrade in terms of doing what Rahul did for the franchise. And it's funny that Rahul's gone the other way. So how did you kind of react when Pant sold 27 crore to LSG happened? What was your initial thoughts?
Look, I thought that he would be the most expensive player in the auction. I said this on another podcast recently, that or my own podcast, which is you can get on a Spotify Strike Rate, the Cricket Analytics podcast. I thought that he would have about a 90% chance of being the highest priced player at the auction. And so it proved just about. And I think as soon as Shreyas Iyer went for that sort of money, that it was kind of likely that would be the case at Rishabh Pant. And obviously, some people on social media made the point that Rishabh Pant, numbers wise, you wouldn't necessarily pay that. But I think the package that he brings, you can understand why teams look to spend that type of money on a Rishabh Pant. On a Shreyas Iyer, on a Venkatesh Iyer, I'm not really so sure, but you can understand why they did it, even though I think it was a shade on the expensive side.
Okay, interesting thoughts there, because like I was going to play devil's advocate to Akshay next and Nix in terms of Pant and the T20 numbers. You brought it up right now. Akshay, I'll come to you and LSG because you were baffled at some of their picks during the auction watch along, and understandably so, because you were like, where are they going with this? Because their conditions are saying something, their picks are suggesting something else. But now, again, with what they've managed to do in the last couple of hours in the dying embers of this auction, does it give you any sort of confidence heading into the season? Or do you think, again, you're penning them down as bottom 3, bottom 4? It's that bad already?
No, it's definitely not that bad. They did get their retentions fairly bang on that way. So given that they already were, they started off with a nice little lead. So it would take a massive fuck up from them to really go back on that. But in terms of some of their buys, I've been just I sound like a broken record, but Mitchell Marsh is arguably one of the worst buys I've seen, simply because of the conditions. Like, you know how Lucknow works, you know what the ground on offer is, you know Mitchell Marsh, you know what he struggles. It's almost cricketing 101 in my, at least that's how it worked in my head. Markram, I could still understand base price pick. He's a more than decent overseas player of spin. That's not necessarily a very sort of, popular. That's not very easily available. I know he's not necessarily lit up the IPL, but there's still that option. And so not the worst. You can at least have him as a backup opening choice and all of that. Mitchell Marsh did not make any sense whatsoever. And then just their sort of, love for pacers and the way they just kept going after pacers, one after the other. It was very bizarre, and they got quite a few pacers. Of course, on day two, they've sort of tried to make up for it by going after a lot of spinners, including a couple of whom I genuinely wanted to see getting IPL gigs. So I'm happy about that. There's, of course, Zishan Ansari, who went to SRH, if I'm not wrong, but they also placed a bid. Digvej Singh came over here. There's Arshan Kulkarni, who's got in a bid. There's Manimaran Siddharth, who's come back over here. There's Prince Yadav as well. So, all in all, not the worst squads, but when I look at the 11, it seems, again, it does not necessarily inspire a lot of confidence. Also, because I wanted Ayush Badoni to be given a proper 14-match season at number 3. If you guys saw the last season or the first season of DPL, the guy's so comfortable against high pace. The guy's so comfortable against spin. It's almost criminal that LSG haven't used him well or have tried to, make a finisher out of him. I hope he gets that. But now with this Rishabh Pant buy, I'm expecting Rishabh Pant to start at number 3. Their opening, I'm not entirely sure who exactly are they going to go ahead with. I don't want them to start with Mitchell Marsh, but they don't have too many other options. Overseas, they went for Matthew Beetsker. There's the Durban Super Giants connection, so I can see why they might have gone for him. But again, starting 11 of an IPL side, I'm not sure he's there yet. So for the time being, I'm going ahead with Arshan Kulkarni / Aryan Joel. Aryan Joel, I like him. He's done more than decently in the domestics on the domestic circuit in the recent past. So one of them to be paired with Aiden Markram. One down, I have Rishabh Pant. Then at number 4, I've got number 3 Rishabh Pant, number 4 Ayush Badoni, number 5 Puran, number 6 Miller, number 7 Abdul Samad, number 8 Shahbaz Ahmed, number 9 Ravi Bishnoi, number 10 Mohsin Khan, number 11 Avesh Khan, and impact player Mayank Yadav. I've gone ahead with this only because Shahbaz Ahmed at number 8 offers a nice batting option. But of course, his spin bowling is not exactly the greatest. To be honest, in T20s, I consider him more of a batting all-rounder. But this 11 has only 2 proper spin options, and then there's Aiden Markram. Given Ekana, so to put numbers into context, Ekana was the 3rd slowest surface in IPL 2024. Spinners enjoyed bowling in Ekana. They had the 3rd best average and the 3rd best balls per dismissal. Again, only behind Delhi and Chandigarh, Mullapur Chandigarh and Chepauk Chennai on both counts. So clearly spinners enjoy their time there, which means you would imagine LSG would go for a lot more first 11 options. They've gone ahead with a lot of domestic picks, but I don't know if they will start with them. So it only remains to be seen if they do that. This is the only way where I felt they could sort of get in a bit of batting depth and also ensure they're not losing out on too many first 11 bowling options. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at when it comes to LSG.
Yeah, one of their spinners who played for them earlier last year was Manimaran Siddharth. So who knows? But he's not part of Akshay's 11. But again, good bench options and good summation of LSG, Akshay. I would also like to ask you how you'd see them finish in IPL 25 really quickly.
I'll peg them bottom half, man, especially after having seen how Justin Langer works. You'll need a very good team and a very good, a very good team in general to be able to overcome Justin Langer. If anything, I think LSD do what they do despite Justin Langer, not because of Justin Langer. That's how it works for me. So I'm not a very big fan of the guy in this format. So I bottom half for sure. I'll actually say 8th. I'll say 8th.
Okay, interesting. Justin Langer, I feel, has a couple of battles to just overcome in that squad. You look at how Punter was with Pant. Now it's another Australian with Pant. And who knows if it's going to be JL and boys picking up the points there. Nix and Dan, just to round up the LSG chat, how do they do according to you in terms of your auction rating? Dan, I'll start with you. And where do you think they'll finish?
Auction rating 3, 4, maybe, if I'm being generous. I just don't see it at all. I think they've wasted a lot of money on mediocre players. In terms of where they finish, look, you can't write off any team that has Rishabh Pant, Nicholas Puran, Mayank Yadav. Like anyone who writes that team off is crazy. But those three players are going to have to do so much for them to have any chance. They're going to have to win matches almost between the three of them. I can't see it happening. I'm not writing them off. I will write no team off, but I think they're going to really struggle to get 8 wins. I can't see them getting more than 6, really, to be honest with you, at the most. So, 7th to 10th would be kind of my broad prediction.
Nikhil, do you echo those thoughts from Dan about the Power Punt boys, not the Powerpuff girls?
I mean, there was a reason why I wanted to hear about Lucknow, because I genuinely felt if you look at the overseas guys, they have 6 of them. And only one of them would start in every team. They have 5 who would be backups in every single team. That too, you just sums up how weird those purchases are. And unless they turn around Ekana into a batting beauty where the ball comes gun barrel straight, I think it will be difficult for them to even churn out wins at home. So good luck to LSG. I agree with Dan's rating. It should just be the number of match winners that they have. That is 2. Because that's also the number of injury-prone bowlers that they have. That is 2 who they retain. So, as much as I want to hype them up, it's just you just can't figure them doing well at that kind of surface. So, it will really need something special to turn this around for them.
Okay, super giants, I should say. But let's move on to the next team then, because a lot of lads in the chat is saying Punjab, give me Punjab. Like Yuvraj Chadha is saying that, Sukhveer is saying that. I think Santosh Udupa is also a Punjab fan. No, he's an RCB fan, just tongue-in-cheek there. And I think even Rosa Doncic, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and like this video, guys, because we're going to be talking about Punjab Kings next, who made the first bid of this year's mega auction, getting Arshdeep Singh back. They just wasted 10 minutes of the auction, in my opinion, and got him for 18 crores, which is ridiculous. Dan, your first thoughts on first Shreyas Iyer, 26.75, because you kind of slightly ranted about the Venki Iyer situation. But Shreyas Iyer, does he deserve the fire? And also, Punjab Kings, do they excite you under Ponting and this new management?
I don't even know where to start. I think we could do an entire episode on this team alone right now and how it's been recruited. I think, where do we start? They had like 110 roughly to take into the auction, having retained just 2 players, and they really had the opportunity to wield a big stack and to bully other teams, but they decided no, we're going to blow half of this by the time that the marquee set finishes, and we're going to be broadly in line with everybody else. Whereas RCB were a little bit more patient and perhaps got a few more bargains. I don't understand this Shreyas Iyer purchase at all. One, because I just feel that there's like so many 90% versions of Shreyas Iyer that you could get for way less money. I'm not really sold even on him as a top level T20 player at this level. People might want to pick him up as a captain, which is understandable to some degree, but for that money, no, absolutely not. No, who is worth about 25% of your team's entire budget for a season? Maybe Jasprit Bumrah would be worth it on the open market. Nobody else would be. And for a batter as well, bowlers win tournaments, and they're spending 25% of their entire budget on a batter. It makes no sense at all. Then you throw in the clear Australian bias from Ponting with five of the overseas players coming from Australia. Again, you mentioned earlier about the LSG stuff, whereas I think where a lot of their overseas players that they've picked up will be at best backups everywhere else. And I think that you could possibly say that Punjab as well, with a lot of their overseas pickups. And I just don't see it. I cannot see it. They're gonna struggle to get locked overs with paces, maybe 8 at best. They don't really have that many locks with spin. Chahal, yes, but he's on the wane, I think, now at his age and performance levels. I think it's a big ask for him to be as as effective as in this next cycle as he was in the last cycle. And Maxwell, again, another aging player. And Stoinis as well is even that too. So you can probably see Stoinis turning into much more of a batter who very, very occasionally bowls by the end of this cycle. So you're not just constraining yourselves for year one, but you're also kind of constraining yourselves for year 3 as well. And because unless some new superstars come through that you want to spend big money on in a mini auction, actually the quality of the mini auction is pretty sparse. So understanding that you can't necessarily replace a Maxwell or a Stoinis, guys who are getting older, or a Chahal from the domestic market certainly would not be able to replace that quality probably in a mini auction. It just provides more questions than answers. I think that they're going to really struggle again, and it's really sad to see it because I know so many people on social media who are Punjab Kings fans and big Punjab Kings fans, and they've been amazing, and the interaction I have with them is amazing, but I just don't have a lot of love for this team.
Yeah, because I mean, some team which is close to your heart because you've of course worked with them in the past. So I'm just thinking to myself as well, because I have a few friends who support the franchise. In fact, my best friend, and I keep kind of giving her banter every year, and they have like a head-to-head with RCB, which is level. But Akshay and Nix, I don't know if you guys see it the same way I see it. You look at the overseas pro that Punjab have signed, guys, okay? I'll just list them out for you. Lockie Ferguson, Xavier Bartlett, Stoinis, Maxwell, Omarzai, Hardy, Jansen, and Inglis. Who are the lock-ins? I mean, they all could play on their day. Stoinis, I think, is one lock-in. Maxwell will give him the benefit of the doubt, and Jansen for sure. Omarzai, I'd like to think so as well. Do you guys agree with me there? Nix, I'll start with you, and then we'll go on to Akshay's ratings and Levins and so on and so forth.
Yeah, firstly, I think it's good to be reaffirmed that Ponting the coach and Ponting the commentator are two different people. We just keep getting more information on that. In terms in-game tactics, absolutely brilliant, but I don't think the coach hears the commentator talk. Completely agree with Dan's point. Exactly how you go by LSG. You look at the foreign players that they have picked. You can't understand why these would be your first names. This is not BBL to pick Xavier Bartlett, Aaron Hardy in Mulampur. It's not going to work out. And they've had history. Punjab have history with match shot kind of picks where they are good in certain places, but you'll have to play them really well. So Marcus Stoinis might have to open for all you know. Or it could be Josh Inglis for that matter with Prab Simran Singh. So who are you matching with? And then you have Shreyas Iyer, and then you have Glenn Maxwell, Nehal Vadera. That batting order could either give you anything or it could give you nothing. There is no guarantee, and they are going to play in Mulampur where you saw new ball move. These guys are not even your best players of the moving ball. So it's very weird to see if you build for your home, it's great. Okay, you have a lineup that will do well at home, and maybe you'll probably struggle away from home, so you can do something about it. So at this point of time, there is nothing that you can tell convincingly that these guys will win 6 games at home. And if they are able to beat A, B, C, D away from home, yes, they can do it. So maybe in-game management is something that they can get better at. But you look at the people that have spent money on with the ball as well. Arshdeep and Chahal are the only guys who you feel can be relaxed about that. These guys will bowl 4 each.
But Nick, sorry, 1 second. Now that you mentioned Arshdeep and you brought it up earlier in the other live shows, what is your whole take on that? The fact that they didn't retain him and then they were the first to get him in the auction. Can you make sense of that?
No, because I don't know they know what they want to do out of this. Because again, Arshdeep is your one guy who people can identify you with. That okay, Arshdeep guy, he's the identity. Harpreet Brar, great. Ashutosh Sharma, Shashank Singh, Prab Simran Singh, great. This is the core that people are identifying you with. And if you feel your premier pacer doesn't deserve 18 CR, give him 14, give the other 2 to your other kids that are there in your system. They are going to be your starting 11 members. So it just told you that we are putting out our best possible player out in the market to see how much he can get, or can we get him cheaper? This is when you have 110 CR. So, I mean, I don't know who takes the calls there, because it really doesn't feel like a one-person call, because the picks reflect you. It's just Harpreet Brar, Arshdeep Singh and Yuzvendra Chahal. Who else is a bowler who gives you that confidence that, we can get good overs out of them everywhere? So it's a very pity state for Punjab, because they had a clean slate. but they just keep wanting a clean slate every year. I don't know what they'll do with it.
The wooden spoon that they often get, finishing sixth all the time. We saw that under the Kumble era as well. And we heard from a certain cricketer who doesn't want to play for Punjab. I don't know if he's going to play the IPL. God bless his soul. Akshay, we'll come to your 11 next. And then, of course, I want to get Dan and Nix's auction ratings and where Punjab will finish to just round up the chat. But when you and me were discussing the 11, Akshay, I actually really enjoyed what you were telling me as Stoinis' opener because he's done it for Melbourne in the past. Then, you have your clear 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So can you elaborate on your choices now that they've added more names to their squad?
Yeah, and also I for one, I don't think I'm that I've been as harsh on Punjab as both Dan and Nikhil have been. Fair. I completely agree with Shreyas Iyer, Chahal, and Arshdeep, all three of them being very expensive. And there's no defense. There's absolutely no defense. I just will take that L and move on. I mean,
Do you agree with this? Do you agree with Sukhveer? Do you think the snow merchant was taking the calls?
Yeah, probably. But if I were Punjab Kings, I'll just brush it off and move on. I mean, that's all I can do. But in general, the way the 11 is shaping up, I don't think they're as bad. At least in my eyes, I don't think they're too bad. And also in terms of, there was another point I wanted to make. Yeah, Arshdeep Singh, I feel, man, to be honest, if I were a part of the Punjab Kings setup, I would have done the exact same thing. I personally felt Arshdeep Singh wouldn't get 18 crores in the auction. He wanted 18 crores. I feel it's a fair call on the franchise's part where they know they don't want to part with the player, but they wanted to see if they could get him back for cheaper. And I don't think there's anything too bad with it. They were just looking at if they could save, because it's not about the money. Like, I don't think Punjab were trying to save 2 crores and be penny wise pound foolish. It's just that 2 crores in your purse is worth a lot more. There's no, you can't sort of, express that elsewhere. You can give him 2 crores outside and doesn't matter, but 2 crores, adding 2 crores to your kitty, it would really, do them a world of good. It's the difference between probably getting a gun all-rounder and not getting that gun all-rounder. So I could see where they were coming from. So I'll still cut them some slack there. And in terms of the 11, the only way this 11 works is if Marcus Stoinis opens for them, or else there's going to be a lot of clutter in the middle order. So I'm guessing that's how they're also looking at this. So I have Marcus and Prabhsimran opening. I have Nehal Vadera at number 3, Shreyas Iyer at number 4, Glenn Maxwell at number 5, Shashank Singh at number 6, Marco Jansen at number 7, Harpreet Brar at number 8, Vaishak Vijay Kumar at number 9, Arshdeep Singh at 10, Lockie Ferguson at 11. Yuzvendra Chahal is, of course, the impact player there. All in all, they've got decent options. They've got a fairly I would say they've got one of the better spin attacks. Harpreet Brar, Yuzvendra Chahal, Glenn Maxwell, I would happily take that spin attack irrespective of the venue. So not too bad there. In terms of their pacers, they've got Vaishak Vijay Kumar, they've got Arshdeep Singh, they've got Lockie Ferguson, Marco Jansen, and the dibbly-dobbly pace. I know 130 is Marco Jansen. Marcus Stoinis can do that. So they've also got a 4th pace option if needed in Marcus Stoinis. All in all, once again, I don't think that's too bad. Gives you decent face coverage. You've got bowlers to bowl at the top. You've got bowlers who can bowl at the death. You've also got someone who can bowl in the middle as well. And in terms of the top 7, if I look at it, probably a bit too right-hander centric. They've got only Nehal Vadera as the left-hander in their top 7. But again, like we've discussed earlier, there won't be a perfect 11. There won't be a perfect squad. Invariably, there'll be flaws. It's all about trying and minimizing those flaws. And to a major extent, I think Punjab have been able to do that. Even more so, given that some of the backups they've bought are actually people I rate highly. So I'm very happy with that. There's Harnoor Singh, who's done very well at the Sher-e Punjab. He's been bought. They've bought Yash Thakur. They've bought Vishnu Vinod. They've bought Kuldeep Sen. They've bought Suryan Sherge. He's a fantastic all-rounder. Just check out some of his exploits, both with the bat and ball at the Maharaja T20. The Maharashtra Premier League. They've also gone for Priyansh Sharia, someone I personally don't think has it right now. At this level, but even then, I don't mind that buy. I'd rather see Punjab Kings pay some money to, spend some money on Priyansh Sharia than say Aaron Hardy or Xavier Bartlett. I don't think he's there yet. So all in all, I still think they have a fairly set. They've got an 11. They've got decent backups as well for all of them. They've got Azmatullah Omarzai. They've got Josh Inglis. They've got I won't say like for like backup, but they've got decent backups there as well. So all in all, I wouldn't say this 11 is too bad. Given how Chandigarh works, given how the conditions there are, Glenn Maxwell is definitely someone who would enjoy himself there. Shashank Singh has already shown that he can do well. Nehal Vadera is someone I'm looking forward to. Then there's Prabhsimran Singh. I know he definitely struggles against the moving ball, but Mullapur, we also know how the surface operates. So yeah, all in all, I can live with this 11 as a Punjab fan. So I'm happy with this 11, to be honest. Yeah.
The only thing is when they play each other, I'm hoping Maxwell, Vishak, and the rest of the RCB boys don't do us any harm. But it is what it is. How much do you guys rate them? Nick, I'll start with you in terms of auction rating and where they will finish in IPL 2025.
Yeah, just to give the context, I think because they had so much purse, I don't think this is the 11 that they should have gone for. They could have easily gone for a lot better options and constructed a lot better squad. So it's not that they can't go and compete for the finals because, as Dan said, stupid to write off any team because if they all gel together, they get people as the lead from the front, they might as well push for the playoffs. But if you have the people, I don't know who will give me a 450, 500 run season from this and at a very good strike rate. That is a problem. They are just too high variance for me in that regard. So in terms of auction rating, maybe I expected more. So I would probably give them 5. Again, being okay with that because they are able to make 11 that they can compete with. Where they will finish, I hope for them maybe 7th, 6th or 7th. They might push for playoffs but run out of steam.
I hope for them, Volke, you've said 6th or 7th. No, but
Punjab hai.
Fair. I mean, Dan, my question to you is, are we already comparing them to relegation fodder like they always are? That's a tongue-in-cheek joke to all Punjab fans, by the way.
Look, I think that they've got a lot to do. I was kind of cautiously optimistic before the auction because they had such a big purse. If they used it smartly, I really think that they could have done some great things. However, they haven't really done anything that like I thought they would do in terms of their kind of efficiency in purchases and the value for money that they could have got. They certainly didn't look to wield their big stack in any way, shape, or form. I'm disappointed. Like others have said, we can't write them off, but a lot is going to have to go right. We're going to have to get old Maxwell back. 500 runs at 160 strike rate or something like that. And it's just so unlikely. Shreyas Iyer is going to have to really carry this team. Everyone's going to have to bat around him. We're going to get prime Marco Jansen with bat and ball and prime Arshdeep and prime Jahal. It's a lot to ask. I'm going to give them a 4. And I think that they're going to be 7th to 10th, like I said, with the same as Lucknow.
Okay, interesting. Super. Then we have 3 more teams to discuss. All, funnily enough, are the metropolitan teams. I'm talking Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata. We haven't forgotten anyone else, have we? I think we've done all the other 7 teams. So let's talk about Mumbai Indians because they've just got back Sachin Tendulkar's son. Not Sachin himself, but Sachin Tendulkar's son. 30 lakh Sachin Tendulkar's back with them. They also got Bolt. They wanted Bhuvi. At one point in time, they got Deepak Chahar. They have Bumrah. They have all those amazing buys and who they retained. Akshay, I'll start with you here in terms of Mumbai. First of all, what have they been doing off late? Let me just tell you what their squad looks like for people listening in right now. Because who is Bevan Jacobs? They've got him as a batter. He's an international pro. Ryan Rickleton, there's one more batter over there, wicketkeeper in particular. Speaking of wicketkeepers, they have Robin Mins and Krishnan Srijit, who apparently has been doing some good things domestically. Then in terms of all-rounders, Naman Dheer for 5.25 was an RTM. Raj Bava, many people who thought failed in Punjab, probably is now resuscitated, revived in Mumbai. Will Jacks, who they of course got off RCB. Mitch Santner went under the radar, but now he doesn't play for CSK. He will be one of those players to play in the El Clasico one way or the other. And then you look at their bowlers, right? Allah Ghazanfar. That's one name that you wanted, Akshay, and he's gone to MI. Reece Topley, good old Reece Topley, gone there. Trent Bolt, Karan Sharma, Deepak Chahar, and of course Satya Narayan Raju. So all things said and done with MI, where do they stand? Surely they can't finish 10th again.
I mean, that's a tricky one to answer, to be honest. I'm just
surely. Bye, come on.
I mean, not just about 10th and all of that. Of course, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. But just looking at some of the names they have, they've got some gun options. And by the way, Krishnan Srijit is KL Srijit from Srijit Krishnan is KL Srijit from Karnataka. It's just the nomenclature, and that's why people might get confused. So that's a solid buy. He's been in great run of form. Recently scored a 40 ball 72 against Uttarakhand as well. So there might be a bit of that recency bias, but at 30 lakhs, you're not complaining. And yeah, coming now to, of course, Mumbai's 11 or Mumbai's options. Oh man, it's tricky because they've got 5 superstars. So that itself, clouds your judgment. You've got Sky, you've got Tilak Verma, you've got Hardik Pandya, you've got Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah. So invariably, you look at those names and you wonder, okay, you know what? They've got a solid Indian core now. Add the likes of Naman Dheer to that. They've also chipped in with a few decent uncapped options. So it isn't too bad. At least that's what you would think on paper. But I still think there's like the overseas picks they've gone for. Will Jacks, to be honest, is going to do more harm than good, according to me. I just don't know how does he fit in, because they need a keeper. And as things stand, from what I can understand, Ryan Rickelton is the only one who can start for them actively. They might have gone for a couple more keeping options. I'm just trying to confirm if there are any. Bevan Jacobs is a keeping option. He's an uncapped wicket keeper from New Zealand.
Robin Minns.
Yeah, Robin Minns again. But are these names first 11 starters? I'm not sure. Robin Minns himself is a top order batter. So I'm not sure if you're going to do that. If you want to open Rickelton with Rohit, you can't have Will Jacks batting in the middle order because the middle order is already packed with Naman Dheer, Tilak Verma, Sky, Hardik Pandya. So where do you bat Rickelton then? So it is going to be slightly tricky. They've got to figure their options out. In terms of spinners, Allah Ghazanfar solves a huge problem for them. They've not had a gun spinner for a while now. The entirety of the last auction cycle, and then Rahul Chahar, if you want to consider, was probably their last gun spinner. And I don't know if that's saying much. So that definitely is a huge pick. They went after Hasranga as well. For some reason, they decided to back out of it at 5 crores. I felt they could have gone for him. But Allah Ghazanfar is definitely a great addition. Trent Bolt is someone I personally think is not the greatest advice, especially at that price point. He went to MI for 12.5 crores. I still think he's very dimensional in the way in what he offers. He's primarily a new ball bowler. I know he didn't do too badly in the last cycle at the back end, but I'm not expecting him to be able to replicate that because he's not done much of that before. MI will be hoping he replicates what he did way back in 2020. He's on the wrong side of 30s, so I'm not sure if he can do that. And then there's Deepak Chahar. The less is said about him, the better. I mean, we all know there's injuries. There's also the way he bowled last season. Yeah, chuck injuries. You're a new ball bowler who knows that your strengths are your in-swingers and out-swingers. And yet this chap decides that he'll rely on slow ones and bouncers in the power play with the new ball. So I'm not sure if that's the kind of guy I'd want to pay 9.25 crores and have him at Mumbai. So Deepak Chahar, Trent Bolt, Bumrah, Allah Ghazanfar, Karan Sharma, Hardik Pandya as well, of course. That's a bowling attack that would make me go, okay, Jasprit Bumrah, 4 overs, none for 15. I'm fine with it. I've got 16 more overs where I can maximize. Maybe add Ghazanfar's 4 overs so that in case his mystery turns out to be something that batters can't find out. Sure, add 8 overs, say 40 runs and no more than a wicket. I can still easily score 130, 140, maybe even 150 runs of the remaining 12 overs and take care of things. So that's how I would be looking at it if I were the opponent. So I'm not sure how that bowling is working. Santner's there as an option, but how does he fit in? I'm not sure. They've got options. They've even gone for Lizard Williams, by the way. But all in all, I don't know. They've got options, but I just don't know how. I don't see it coming together as a coherent 11. That's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, Nix, I'll get to your MI thoughts in just a bit, but let's just ask Dan really quickly. Dan, Akshay threw a lot of light in the bowling, and understandably so, but their batting with Will Jacks now, of course, a purchase, so much so that he had to go shake hands with the RCB table, Mr. Ambani. Do you think Jacks is a definite starter over there? And again, what are your thoughts towards MI?
Yeah, I think that Jacks is a pretty likely starter unless they really are struggling with fitting in a viable wicket keeper into the 12. It's the Mumbai decisions are all stem from the fact that they retained 5 players and spent a lot of money prior to the auction. And as usual, Bumrah is their only bowler before the auction, and so they're playing catch up with a small budget on a bowling attack. It's almost like they don't learn from their previous mistakes. And saying that, though, I kind of think that the one that they've just about cobbled together is okay. I definitely see Santner playing more than he did at CSK. I think that he fits in reasonably well into this Mumbai side with him and Gazanfar as the two spin options. I have concerns. We know that Deepak Chahar has had injury issues, and also in terms of role clarity, both him and Trent Bolt. I mean, that's a good. That's if both are fit and playing well, that is a good power play bowling attack. Who bowls the death with Bumrah is more of a question. I don't see Hardik Pandya being a viable death bowler. I think I look at him more as a middle overs option. So that they're going to have to make some compromises at the death. If you're looking through their bench, Topley is also more of a power play bowler than a death bowler. And basically, yeah, they're probably 1 or 2 injuries away from having to play Arjun Tendulkar, which is not really an ideal scenario. The backup players that they've picked from the overseas markets, I mean, and Rickleton has potential, but I still think that there's a big jump from what he's done so far to this level. Bevan John Jacobs, I think, has played 9 T20 games domestically in New Zealand. He's 22. He's been banging like 6 or 7, doesn't bowl or anything. So we're going down that Dhoni route of low match involvement, but without the proven quality that Dhoni has had throughout his career. It seems very, very much like a luxury pick. Lizard Williams, I don't think he adds anything to this group either. I would like to see Raj Bawa get more game time, but I think that's pretty tricky with what looks a pretty settled top 6 or 7 for Mumbai. And yeah, I think that they're probably going to pick something along the lines of Rohit, Jack, Sky, Tilak, Namandir, Hardik Pandya, Santner, Deepak Chahar, Gazanfar, Bumrah, Bolt with Robin Minns as an impact sub wicket keeper or something like that. And it's interesting to see, actually, he got runs in the Syed Mushtaq Ali today for Jharkhand, 36 off 12 balls against, albeit a pretty mediocre Manipur side. So Robin Minns is maybe one player that we want to look out for in terms of him fitting into this Mumbai side.
Yeah, Minns, MI, Minns, you can do whatever you want to do with that. But Nix, as a CSK fan, 4 points easily in those El Clasicos in IPL 2025 to CSK, because the way Akshay and Dan have kind of given their analysis about MI, they don't seem like a contender, let alone a strong team. But where do you stand in them?
We burnt enough hands via lower order batters there, whether it is Pollard. But again, Pollard is a completely different T20 legend, so unfair to compare anyone to them. I agree with both that I don't know how have they thought this through with their bowling aspect. Usually with Bumrah, you see them going for 2 overseas pacers, and maybe their bigger problem was the new ball wickets because they tried Kwana Mafaka and so many other options which did not work out. So I think they are setting this by the fact that we need new ball wickets, which is why you saw them go hard for even Bhuvi, because Bhuvi is not a guy that you usually see for teams like MI bidding. They don't always go for people like him. So them getting after Deepak Chahar maybe tells you that some work has been done, because they will need that. Because if they don't get those power play wickets, Bumrah has too much to do. But as Dan said, if Deepak is even half fit and he's told clearly that this is your job, if they can get a couple of wickets every single game, then they can hold back Bumrah for 3 at the back end. And I think they'll have to be very, very smart, and which is why I think they went very big on Ala Gazanfar, because then he could be the guy that bowls the 16th over kind of for you, that he's held back for 1 over against their premier end overs hitter for the opposition. Then you have Bumrah to bowl to, and you would hope with hands and eyes closed that whether Hardik bowls that 1 over in the middle in the end, or it is Bolt who, if he's had 3 good overs, can maybe finish the 4th one earlier also. So I think bowling is something that they will have to manage. But batting, I think a lot will rely on if Rohit and Jax can get going, because the engine room is as good as anyone.
Sorry. Before you get to the batting, I'm so sorry, Nix. Can you just answer JK, who's of course asked us if Gazanfar could be a death overs option? Have you seen him do it for?
Yeah, I mean, you saw him do well against Bangladesh and South Africa very recently, the very first game that we played against them. So there is a lot of potential there. And what I think is maybe Hardik's role is going to increase with the ball. Though it will be absolutely hilarious if Hardik takes the new ball because because they have Deepak Chair and Trent Bolt to do it. So if Hardik is the guy who's bowling with the new ball, then there is trouble because, as Dan said, Hardik is the guy who will have to be the guy who have to bowl in the middle. With, I don't think Tilak, they should, if they get to Tilak and Will Jacks bowling, then this is done. So that is something that they will not want to do. So I think this team will rely a lot on a few individuals who will have to really step up and really have a great season. It'll have to be Rohit, it'll have to be Will Jacks, because they can't play reasonably Bolt and Bumrah, or even Lizard Williams, Trent Bolt and Bumrah. That would make it very, very loop's-headed in terms of the balance of the side. So some troubles there. Maybe reminiscent of how they've gone since the last few auction cycles, that batting is always sorted. But what do you do with the bowling? That has been a problem for them since two, 3 cycles now.
Okay, fine. So where are they finishing in IPL 25? Nikhil, you take it away, and then I'll ask Akshay and Dan.
Hopefully outside the top 4, safest options there. And rating-wise, I think maybe 6 or 7. They could have picked a lot many players. I don't know why they did not go harder for Phil Salt. Far better proven value would have solved their opening problem as well, with Rohit Sharma, Indian guy at Wankhede, would a wicket keeper, so would do really well. So yeah, 5, 6 in terms of 6. Let's go there with the same position. I'm happy with it. No problem.
Okay, fair. Akshay, some people watching this in Bandra, maybe Ghatkopar, maybe Pedder Road, will be saying, "Bhai, we're getting the 6th IPL. Can you make a strong statement against no? Do you have them in your top 4? No."
Strong statement. I don't need to make a strong statement. This site speaks for itself. I don't need to do that. Like, the auction table has done that. Yeah, I mean, the 11 that JK has put out is pretty much my 11. Rohit, Jacks, Tilak Sky, Namandhir, Hardik Pandya, Robin Mins, Santner, Gazanfar, Cheher, Bumrah. Bolt would be my impact sub. This I felt was their most likely 11/12. But yeah, I mean, this bowling attack does not inspire a lot of confidence. Bumrah, I mean, Bolt and Cheher, both are bowlers that I feel can be taken down. I know Bolt did not do too badly this year, but he is one of those bowlers that oppositions wouldn't feel threatened by. That's how I look at it. Same is the case with Deepak Cheher. And yeah, batting, of course, batting is going to be their strength, and they'll hope that their batters do bulk of the damage when it comes to winning games. And I'll say bottom 4 for sure. I'm just trying to think. I'm probably naming everyone in the bottom half. So who is reaching the playoffs? So,
exactly.
Yeah, I have 4 teams. I have 4 teams in the playoffs. I have 4 teams. I've named 2 of them so far. And I'll actually say Punjab. I said 5th or 6th. I'll actually include Punjab as well. I'll take bold call. I'll do a bold call and say Punjab in my top 4.
Play bold indeed. Dan, wrap up Mumbai with you. Can you give their fans any hope?
Well, yeah, but they're going to have to roll back the years. I think that they could be really struggling. I also think that this is a franchise with what they've spent and the retentions that could be worse in year 3 than in year 1. The bench looks like just a collection of individuals and a bit of a mess. But then they do have match winners, you know. A team with Sky, a team with Tilak Varma, a team with Jasprit Bumrah as well. I mean, like, yeah, that's these guys are not just world-class players, but they're also players who can perform for them through the cycle. But they look a bit of an unbalanced mess right now. They continually spend too much money on their marquee players who they don't want to let go, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them. I can see them sort of 7th to 10th again, that kind of region, with like I said, LSG and Punjab kind of in that bracket. A 5 out of 10 for them at auction because they did have a tricky job with their purse.
Okay, love those numbers in terms of not, of course, holding back. And now there's 2 teams left, and I'm talking about Delhi and, of course, Kolkata. Let's, of course, start with Delhi because they've got some good names in their team this time. I'm talking with KL Rahul, Mitchell Stark comes to mind. They've gone for someone as recent as Donovan Ferreira. They've gone for some names that they've been used to before. Harry Brook comes to mind, so on and so forth. So, Nix, I'll give you first crack at Delhi. What again pleases you? And our good friends, Shubh Agarwal, Gurkirat, their fans, are they kind of happy, or do you think even they're kind of just like, whatever, man, no matter what player we pick, we'll still won't win the IPL?
Well, that is something they can be happy that there's no Lalit Yadav and there's no Ricky Ponting. That's a start because they didn't want both of these guys in their setup. But to look at the 11 that or the squad that they have, I think bowling is something that really strikes your brain like good players there, good core in terms of young options. But the tricky part is to get these young ones to perform. And the biggest catch of them all is the guy who's going to open is KL Rahul. What mindset is he going to bat with? They have a Faf backup completely out of pitch and never saw it happening, but he's there. So if KL Rahul can tick off with Jake Fezamika up top, Abhishek, Tristan Stubbs, Harry Brook, I don't know if he starts or doesn't, but that's a good batting core to have if you have KL Rahul performing. If that doesn't happen, I think they have too many youngsters in their lineup. Samir Rizvi, Karun Nair, these are all backup options for you. They are unlikely to start. So the batting will really have to punch above their weight, with KL Rahul being the fulcrum around which they bat. I'm quite torn with their backups. I don't know how to feel about it. Manwant Kumar is a guy that I wanted to be picked, but I don't think he'll start. So good on them to get that. But bowling is something that gives me more hope than the batting because Mukesh, Stark, Kuldeep, and you have another guy who I'm forgetting. So those were the names that I was very happy with. That still something. And Natarajan, exactly. So yeah, the bowling is sorted on that aspect. 4 great bowlers who will give you 16 overs every day and should be good enough for them. But the deck at Kotla and KL Rahul, that to me is the biggest puzzle there.
Akshay, where do you stand in Delhi? Because their food is brilliant, but what about their players?
Yeah, they've. I don't think they've done too badly, barring say Jake Fraser, McGurk, and also their everlasting love for top order batters and all of that. Even then, all in all, that's a fairly decent squad. And what really struck me was the fact that they went after practically every Indian domestic all rounder I had been watching. Like so
But that's
many
also how much could you buy into that compared to what Kiran Gandhi was doing with his paddle?
that is something now we've come to expect of Kiran Gandhi. Like you come to a mega auction expecting Kiran Kumar Gandhi to simply raise his paddle, irrespective of whether he wants it or not. So I look at it as a feature, not a bug. It's a part of the whole experience. That's how I view it. So I'm not too flustered by it anymore. But coming to the 11, so this is how I look at the 11 shaping up. Unfortunately, Abhishek Purel will have to slot in at number 3 now that Rahul makes way. I don't see Fraser Megha going down because his role is that of a power play basher. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So Rahul, Fraser McGurk, Abhishek Purel, Harry Brook, Tristan Stubbs, Akshat Patel, Ashutosh Sharma. This is the top 7. Number 8, there's a proper hole here because they have too many mid players, and I just don't know who will they actually go to over here because they already have sort of used up all of their overseas options, so they have to go to an Indian option over here. And Manwant Kumar is the only reasonable name, amongst all the players that they've bought. Vipraj Nigam is more of a top order batter. Madhav Tiwari I haven't seen much of. There's also Darshan Nalkande who could be another option, but Darshan Nalkande is not as competent a batter as Manwant Kumar is. On top of that, Manwant Kumar also offers a bit of that left-hand batting utility because he's a left-hander. That also could probably come in to help them. And also, he's one of those hit-the-deck bowlers. So, yeah, could be handy. So, that's why I have Manwant Kumar slotted in at number 8. Then there's Mitchell Stark at number 9, Kuldeep Yadav at number 10, Mukesh Kumar number 11, Natarajan, my impact player. So a bowling attack of Natarajan, Stark, Mukesh Kumar, Kuldeep Yadav, Akshat Patel, and of course Manwant Kumar. Maybe a bit of Tristan Stubbs just as a matchup option. More than happy. That's something I'd happily take. Before the auction, if someone told me this would be my bowling attack, I'd happily take it, to be honest. And now when you add the fact that there's also, Harry Brook, who's got massive upside, Abhishek Purel, again, youngster who's yet to sort of unleash or play to his full potential. There's Jake Fraser McGurk, who's not had the greatest of, international cricket, so to say, in the recent past. But yeah, that's the one buy that's really, that could massively impact them. They spent 9 crores on Jake Fraser McGurk. I felt that they could have probably done away with it and they would have been better off without him. But all right, they've already gone ahead with that. But all in all, the bowling definitely looks good. The batting also isn't the worst. They've got 3 left-handers. They've got 5 right-handers. They've got a nice mix of aggression in Ashutosh Sharma, Tristan Stubbs. There's of course Jake Fraser-McGurk, and then there's also Harry Brook, who has the ability to play the role of a dynamic anchor, who can take his time, who can also attack when the situation arises. So that way, all in all, I am happy with this set of players. I'm also happy with some of the domestic players they've gone for. There's a lot of potential over there, but some of the overseas buys, especially the backups, were very random, to say the least. But all in all, yeah, not too many reasons to worry. Lovely, good job.
Finally, we have the ritual done where you talk
First
from
time this year, I've messed up in my mute. We'll get Akshay and Nikhil's thoughts in terms of where they rate Delhi in terms of auction business and where they'll finish in IPL 2025. Remember, it's a guessing game. And of course, I know we're reaching 11 o'clock very soon, and 11:30 is our CDC live. So let's just speed on really quickly. Dan, Delhi Capitals, again, KL, Faf, what are they doing? I mean, do you think they're building a good team, or they're just having shits and giggles at the auction table?
Good question. I don't really know where to start. The KL Rahul pick, a lot of people asked me yesterday whether I thought it was a good one. I said that I wanted to hold fire until I could work out who he was surrounded with, because I think that he needs a team of hitters around him, because I think that it's a lot to ask for that mindset change for him at this stage of his career. Everyone knows he needs to have the mindset change, but whether he's actually willing to embrace that are two different things. And secondly, he needs a really strong bowling attack around him as well, because of the adjustments to pass scores based on his approach. He's been surrounded by hitters, that's fine. Jake Fraser-McGurk, Harry Brooks, Tristan Stubbs, Abhishek Parel, Ashutosh Sharma, all very, very capable. But it's also a pretty young and inexperienced group around him, which is going to be very high variance and very volatile. One day they could blow teams out of the water, and in another teams they could get rolled for 100 all out, and that's going to be a tricky thing. I also think that the bowling is uninspiring. Obviously, we know that the spin is good. We can't argue with the spin. Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel are two. Every team would take those two probably as their spinners. But I'm still not convinced about the rest of their bowling attacks. Natarajan has been injured at the moment, so he might not. There's still that injury cloud around him. Mitchell Stark is a broken fingernail away from being pulled out by Cricket Australia after they spent a lot of money on him. And they don't have the players in their squad to replace those type of players that they've spent decent money on. The backups are not really there. I mean, Mohit Sharma will probably come in if one of those players is out, but I don't even think he's close to being a premium bowler at this level. Overseas-wise, backups, they haven't even maximised their overseas quota as in terms of the 8 that they could have. A lot of their domestic backups have never played the IPL before, which is a lot to ask for them to come in and hit the ground running. Yeah, they might do, but it's a big gamble. So I think there's a lot of questions still about this DC squad. As we mentioned, they're quite scattergun a lot of the time with their bidding. It shows perhaps that they don't have clear targets, they don't have clear processes. And that would be a concern for me. I think that they've got a lot to prove.
Just quickly then, how do you rate them in their auction business so far? Or it's done pretty much. So if you have to give them a number on 10?
5? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see how KL Rahul necessarily fits into their identity or squad, but I'm happy to be proven wrong.
And top 4, top 5, top 6?
Again, one of those teams, sort of 6th to 10th, potentially.
Okay, interesting. I mean, Akshay, I know you mentioned a stat to me saying everyone worries about Natarajan and being the injury breakdown that he can be, but he's never been injured during an IPL. Is that right? That's what you told me.
I mean, he's been a part of each of the last 5 seasons of IPL. He's not missed one, so that's all that matters. He's missed the last 3 seasons of domestic cricket. He's not played smart for a while now. He's not played Ranji Trophy in a very long time. If I'm not wrong, his last first class game was the India Australia Gabha Test match. So that's there, but he's never missed. Yeah, my bad. He's never missed. He's never missed IPL. That's all that matters. If I'm a part of the IPL setup, that's all I look at. And he's given consistent returns, which is which is already way too much, way more than I would want, considering how high variance his role is. So yeah, that's with Natarajan. So I mean, I would
Delhi's rating. How much would you rate them?
I would probably give them 8.5. Again, I've been a lot more lenient than Dan and Nikhil here, so my scales have been further up. So guys, do not directly compare.
And where did they finish?
Top 4. So Delhi caps off my top 4. RCB, CSK, Punjab and Delhi. This is my top 4.
Okay, interesting. Next, do you have Delhi in your top 4?
Let me take up time to process the holiday in the top 4. He's saying Punjab, RCB, DC, they'll all be in the top 4. IPL will break and then it will break. Hopefully that happens, but no, I think too much to ask. As Dan said, if the bowling clicks, they have hope that KL can get them to pass scores and then they can win. The question is also about the deck. They've never really settled on the kind of deck that they want to play. Under Ponting, they wanted to play on good decks, but they got Kotla with no turn and bounce. So that is something that they need to take care of. So on that regard, similar to what Dan said, probably around 6. Maybe they didn't have enough options. Maybe they wanted somebody else. We don't know. And that is a risk, as Akshay also said. When you keep doing this, you don't know who you want and who you are just playing around with. So you live with it.
It's the boy who cried wolf, or in this case, it's the Kiran who cried wolf. But look, Delhi Capitals, let's see how they go about it with a whole change of coaching staff with Hemang Badani there, Venugopal they got Vijay Bharadwaj and Ganguly still there as well. Right, speaking of Ganguly, last pillar, not least, KKR, Kolkata Knight Riders, the champions, and people like Sagnik Datta, lots more KKR fans in our platform. And let's speed on with this, guys, really quickly, because I have to, of course, give the chance for Nix to recover for the Hindi show as well. Nix, I'll start with you here. Kolkata Knight Riders. If you have to put a number first and then give me your explanation of why you're giving them a number in terms of auction business, how much would it be? And then go on with your reasons.
I think I'll probably side with them being on par with Chennai in terms of the bases that they've covered.
Okay.
Maybe you would say that they were overspent on Venki. But maybe that is something that's just auction dynamics. Maybe they wanted to retain Venki, or they could not let go of anybody else. Maybe they could have let go of Ramandeep. I don't think Ramandeep would have cost them so much. So that is a line of thought that I can definitely understand, yes. But if I'm on side going into a mega auction and I can get my core back in the budget and I'm only missing Nitish Rana from that core that I had, which Shreyas here being the collateral damage that you've lost a captain, but because he wanted to be in the auction, so you've lost the captain there. So with that, I'll be okay. They've sorted Phil Salt with Quinton de Kock, have a backup with Gurbaz. The rest of the batting order is as it was in the past. I don't agree with 3 purchases that they have made in Rahane, Moeen Ali and Robin Powell. I don't know how they will use them. But
do you agree with Manish Pandey?
Yeah, he's the impact sub, perennial impact sub. I'm surprised they did not go for Anukul Roy. Oh, they have again. Yes, they have the fielding substitute spot on as well. With the ball, I think they have done well. That they've upgraded from Stark to Spencer Johnson. Steele maybe at that price 2.80. I think it's a very cheap buy there. And they also have Nokia. Now again, Nokia has not been in the best of forms, but a good option to have. I think with the kind of setup that they already have 6 good bowling options. You have Naren, you have Varun, you have Harshit, you have Vaibhav, you have Russell, and one of Spencer and Nokia will play. So in terms of the bases covered, fairly happy. Few people that I don't know how they will use, but I wouldn't be too bothered because they've got the majority of the core back. So I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, you look at their all-rounders, the names that you might have missed there in terms of your analysis. Moeen Ali, and of course, the retainee Ramandeep, who was already there. There's also, of course, Umran Malik and Mayak Markande in the scheme of things for KKR then. Dan, over to your analysis about the champions KKR. And they wanted Shreyas Iyer. They wanted a lot of their players to be bought back. It wasn't to be, including Stark. So now, who is their captain? Is it almost Venkatesh Iyer because they paid so much for him, or do you see someone else lead that team come IPL 2025?
I think it's realistically the only option. Like I don't really see that they have much choice. If you're looking at their starting 11, there isn't really an outstanding captaincy candidate at all, and that makes life pretty tricky for them. I can't help feeling that they're slightly weaker now than they were last season. Obviously, for example, they've traded out effectively from a winning team Stark and Phil Salt for De Kock and Norkia. I think that's a bit of a downgrade. They're one of the few teams that's actually got four overseas, kind of all four overseas bench players, I should say, and they're all players who kind of fit different roles. So that at least makes some form of sense. I'm not sure about their batting backup. I think that's a big problem. For example, who's their number 3 this season? They're going to play Rahane as a number 3. Are they going to have to use Manish Pandey in that role? I don't think either of those two players are particularly inspiring in that role. I certainly think that calling Manish Pandey an impact sub is somewhat of an oxymoron, because he doesn't make much impact at all. So I don't really see it. Will Umar Malik get a bit more of an opportunity there? Will Aurora play potentially as well to give them the extra pacer? Because otherwise they're asking for a lot from Andre Russell as a sort of a third pacer, and I think that's a very high risk situation for them to be in as well. So look, they're still competitive. They've still got a good squad. They've still got a good team, but not as good as last year, I think.
I mean, I completely agree with you there. And if anything, I probably would say this is the weakest squad of the lot of all the 10 teams, if I have to say. So I for some reason, I've just not been able to wrap my head around the squad. It reminds me of the 2023 KKR squad that they had before Gambhir came in. Gambhir, of course, made a massive overhaul last year and somehow managed to, make the best of whatever was available. This year, it's just not giving me that vibe in terms of the kind of picks they've gone for. So the 11 right now looks something like this for me. Sunil Narine, Quinton de Kock, Ankush Raghuvanshi at number 3. I'm guessing Ankush is going to be the starter at number 3. He played really well in the couple of games that he played for them last year. He's also, a project player for Abhishek Nair as well. So I'm pretty sure he'll be starting for them at number 3. Then you've got Venkatesh Iyer at number 4, Rinku Singh at number 5, Andre Russell at number 6, Ramandeep at number 7, Anukul number 8, Harshit Rana number 9, Spencer Johnson 10, Vaibhav Arora 11, and CV Varun Chakravarti, of course, being the impact player. Again, on paper, it seems to tick your boxes, like most of those boxes, if not all. But even then, for some reason, it just seems like an 11 that's missing something. I've been trying to see what exactly is this missing, but I do agree the absence of Phil Salt, Mitchell Stark, and I would even say Shreyas Iyer for that matter. You need someone, you need the cushion of, someone being there in the middle order. I don't know if you can say the same with the likes of, Ankush Raghuvanshi, Venkatesh Iyer, and Rinku Singh. As much as I rate Venkatesh Iyer, and given the price that he went at, I really look forward to seeing how KKR use him. But I just don't know, for some reason, this 11 doesn't seem to be working for me. I did come up with another 11 where I have Loveneet Sisodia. He's a left-handed opener, dasher from Karnataka. He's someone I believe for the last 3 years at least that he should start for someone at least. We saw Gujarat Titans go for BR Sharath last year. I mean, when they can do such howlers, Loveneet Sisodia definitely stands a chance or is worth a shot. So if Loveneet opens for them, he's a left-handed keeper batter, very similar to Quinton de Kock that way, but he's very aggressive. So Loveneet and Sunil Narine open. Then we can replace Anukul Roy lower down with Rovman Powell. That adds a bit more batting. It adds a bit more beef to their middle order and finishing capabilities. And I feel that would be a better way of going about things, because I don't see them using Anukul Roy's bowling at all. He's essentially a fielding sub. So might as well make use of that option by bringing in Rovman Powell and also Loveneet Sisodia up top, whatever he gives you, like a 10 ball 20 or a 15 ball 25-30. Happily take that and move on. I don't see Rahane playing any games, man. He'll basically do what Manish Pandey did last year, except they also have Manish Pandey, so he's probably below Manish Pandey in that pecking order as well. So Rahane is just he's like what CSK did with Pujara. Let's make sure he doesn't go unsold. That's pretty much it.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just wrap up really quickly then. I just want to ask all you guys, will KKR defend their title with this team? Dan, yes or no?
No.
Okay, next.
Oh, I think more than Rahane Powell is very tricky. And again, as Dan said, difficult to replicate what they did last year. They can use Russell Rinku more this year, but I'm not sure of Rahane, Moeen Ali, those picks. So difficult to replicate.
Okay, fine. Super, guys. It's been one hell of a Monday Night Live. Dan, thank you so much for your time. Keep warm in the winter of the UK and follow Dan, guys, on Twitter. He's been putting out fantastic stuff prior to the auction and even after it. And of course, go check out his own podcast. We'll leave it in our description below in terms of the Cricket Analytics podcast on Spotify. Dan, am I right?
Yes, Strike Rate, the Cricket Analytics podcast on Spotify.
Super. Dan, parting words with you. And again, just gracing your presence in cricket.com. Hopefully, we made you feel well.
Thank you so much. No, it's been brilliant to join you guys for the last couple of hours. It's been so enjoyable. And roll on the start of the tournament now, right?
Absolutely. Can't wait. Can't wait. March 14th, apparently. Akshay, you've been phenomenal. And Knicks will continue to be phenomenal because I'll tell you what, Vikas, Somesh and Knicks, they're going to be talking about the certain subtleties. They're going to be talking about random late buys, which has just happened. For example, Lungi and Giri to RCB. What do they make of that? Vikas, Somesh have so much to say in the Hindi live. And then, of course, Knicks, I think, will add on to some of the CSK stuff because he's really not done with the men in yellow over there. Knicks, thank you so much. Akshay, thank you so much. And Dan as well. Thank you, guys. Fantastic viewership in this one. And I expect all of you all to quickly jump onto that 11:30 show. Quickly just tuck yourselves in, brush your teeth, whatever you want to do. But listen to these guys. And in particular, that man, Somesh Agarwal. He has a lot to say. He comes at you in 20 minutes' time. So does Nick. So does Vikas. And we'll leave it there, boys and girls. It's another MNL done and dusted. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from us.